waiting on chat.
Excellent. I will tweet this out.
And then I will subsequently retweet it out.
And I will
And
sit here and monitor
I mean,
the chat.
here's the thing that you usually do, Kylie, right? You always retweet it after the show is done.
I know, but that proves I'm not on Twitter during the show. See?
Here we go.
Which is why you should have more responsibilities in your tasks.
No, I think this is all I can handle.
What, streaming?
Yes.
Okay, alright, I'll let you off with that then.
I have to type people's names in, thank you very much.
Congratulations, it is
Keyboarding is hard.
Me am keyboarding.
I mean, I'm not convinced at this point. I'm pretty sure you have a secretary to do it.
Well, maybe.
Just have a little person underneath your desk just
person,
typing for you, and you just make the appearance like you're doing it.
That's all
Because I
I
never
do.
seem to hear your keyboard, surprisingly.
Maybe I have like a space age keyboard.
Space age. It's Sunday, it's hot, and people can't talk.
Oh my gosh, I am dying. I'm so dying. That's crazy. Chat, I'm giving
Thanks, by the way, Kylie. Yep, lovely.
That's the mug I got Pete.
Yep.
Well, technically for your birthday.
It was. It was supposed to be for Christmas, but it came 2 months late, and it turned up just before my birthday.
I was gonna make a bad joke, but I'm not going to.
I mean, we made enough of those in the green room beforehand.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pete? 5 minutes or 6 minutes for chat?
Give me a second, because I actually need to test the levels.
Oh,
I forgot
gosh.
I'm actually working right now, you know?
Pete, do your job.
That's the levels. I guess I'm gonna pull chat up too.
I've got the chat up already, so it's nothing.
Well, I think it's great if we all have chat up because it looks like we have more viewers.
Good point.
Yeah, just,
Speaking of
just make
which,
sure you.
I'm
just make
sure
you
Twitch
mute.
looks very
Oh,
favourably.
that's
on that
not
sort
a
of
bad
thing.
idea. Hold on.
yeah.
I might bring the chat up, but if I put the Twitch on my Switch, haha.
Ah.
Ah.
Oh.
Oh, ads.
Wait, mate.
You know you don't get ads if you subscribe to your own channel.
I know,
I need to do so.
but it feels strange subscribing to my own channel.
Oh, god damn it. No, of course I haven't, because for some reason my Amazon Prime has been unlinked. Of course.
Unfortunately, I've already used my Amazon sub for somebody else this month. I'm sorry.
Well, like,
I'm shocked.
how
Shocked.
long
I mean,
does-
I'm not that shocked.
Not
To
that
be
shocked.
fair, it is the protagonist of Fire Emblem Warriors, so...
Hey.
Oh, look at that! Somebody just subscribed. Can't believe it. 14 months of rapid reviews, and I'm a guest on the show.
No, I didn't just subscribe. That's actually my anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
14 months, because I've maintained my
Yes, you
subscription
have.
Yeah.
for you guys since
You,
the beginning.
you
You
have
legit
indeed.
have,
We've
yeah.
seen it.
I think I was the first one.
I
Or
think
one of the
you
first
were.
ones.
Yeah, you were definitely one of the first.
You was, and then I was the second,
Yeah.
because I got to pay myself somehow.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Look, it's been nearly 129 episodes, and we pay more than we receive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Bueno is here.
Bueno!
Gotta get some sponsors.
Yeah, I can see what you mean with the overlay now, Kylie. Works well.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Kylie spelled my name wrong.
Oh, make it.
Jonathan.
Yeah, well, we will
I say
fix
works
that.
well. But so clearly
See-
I wasn't looking out for that. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Uh,
No harm.
My band
That's why she
director.
spelled my name.
My band director that I was madly in love with as like a 14-year-old, his name was Jonathan, but it was all O's. So,
Oh.
Joe No Thone.
Joe Nothone.
Joe No Thone.
I mean, I could have made a joke there, but you know, I think it was
What,
self-explanatory.
E.T. Joe No Thone?
No, there was a lot of O's in it.
Oh, I have to be careful there. 'Cause it was a grown up. Yeah.
It's It's just something I hear from,
Oh my
well,
gosh,
something I
I'm
hear from a
sweating.
video content creator I listen to. It's a clip that's like, oh my.
Oh my, that's
Oh my.
George Takei.
Well, it's a
fan.
very different one from George Takei, though. And I mean, very
my.
different.
Hello.
Hello there. Let's not talk about Kenobi.
No, that's for me and me alone, Pete. That's for my alone time.
Well, I was just talking about let's not talk about that show.
No one's allowed to say hello there.
So, just so you know, every time we went through a toll booth while we were traveling from Pennsylvania to Maine or Maine to Pennsylvania, and when I was driving, I would always pull up and say, hello there. Like, that was just something we decided that I was going to do on this trip.
Excellent.
We are not the family you are looking for.
There you go. Oh, that's awesome.
Missed opportunity there.
So Brent has put not playing Warframe this morning, still shook from yesterday's
Yeah.
con.
I did want to bring that up for Brent. Brent is
Let's bring it up.
hardcore Warframe adherent, and the developers of Warframe have released Soulframe, I believe. Brent, correct me if I'm wrong. Which is like their first ever new game. Set in the same Warframe universe, but a completely different game.
Yeah.
So
New MMO Soulframe announced.
Okay, so does it play? Will it be playing like Warframe, or is it just set in the same universe?
I bet it's a Souls game because it says Souls in it. That's my rule of thumb.
I'm out.
There's no proof to that, Pete. That's me.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
Play it on baby mode.
Yes.
Baby mode.
Oh, I will.
I'm sorry, but I'm a purist. But Dark Souls is not supposed to have an easy mode.
Oh goodness. Give me easy mode.
It's called parent or full-time employee.
Exactly.
Or normal person, or not a sadist.
Or lore adherent.
Masochist.
Oh, so Soulframe is a mirror universe, so it's the low roll to the high roll, if you will.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
It's kind of that's from Link Between Worlds,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, with the mirror and stuff. That's like my favorite Link.
Yeah, Brent also did put a friend recommended Citizen Sleeper on Game Pass, so I gave it a go this morning. Really liked it. I've heard some really good things about Citizen Sleeper.
I feel like we've talked about that, but which one is it?
I don't recall. I know it's on Game Pass, but I'm gonna give it a shout. I'm gonna give it a look at least. So yeah, fantasy instead of sci-fi, slow combat instead of fast, still free to play, PvE, MMORPG. Okay.
I need to try it. Like I've stated so many times before, like I absolutely adore Destiny 2. I love Destiny 2. But Destiny 2 is for if you have friends. And I do not. So I need a more solo-based one. And from what Brent says, Warframe is probably it. So
I mean, you did have friends for Destiny, except one of them just completely dropped off, and I apologise about that. I just got very bored.
I was gonna say Pete does not like Destiny 2. Let's just be honest.
No, it's not that I didn't like Destiny 2. It's just grinding to 1300s.
I love
and a
grinding.
slog.
Do not clip that.
And clip it.
No, you do your job.
No.
I know he's not here, but he'll find it eventually.
Brent says no words on if it's meant to be a Souls-like. Well, see, I just call it that. Anything.
Well,
with
if
Souls
it
in
is, then you can at least point back to this clip and go, "Looky here."
Yeah,
Heard it
there
here
you
first. Scoop.
go.
I wouldn't even call it a scoop. I would just call it a stab in the dark.
Oh my goodness.
That's probably how Lee's gonna kill me.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I'm gonna get ended, I reckon, by my partner.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Either that or some kind of like poison in food. Although she said poison is typically how women kill men.
That's true.
She wouldn't want to be too on the nose with it.
That's a good
Hello,
point.
Force in Unison.
Hello, Sergio.
Howdy.
Sergio, hello.
Hello.
I didn't know your name, but hello, Sergio.
Oh, buenos dias.
Well,
There's
I
actually
know.
Simone in there. Yeah.
I know where Force in Unison will probably land on some of this discussion that we'll be having soon. So
It's gonna
Anyway,
be
I will be
fun.
back in a second because I need to go and check the test recording for problems.
Oh, right. Okay, then we'll start. Because I was like, oh, we should start soon. But yeah, I guess we got to do that.
Did you do all the sound levels and everything? Are we all sounding?
That's what Pete's
Good.
checking right now. But you know what? Chat, let us know about levels because I'm in control of the chat levels. Which is a terrifying thought. Because I might be louder than everyone.
I mean, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Well, hey Mike, do you know, and maybe you can, if it's stuff I'm not allowed to talk about yet. I know I have a couple games that I'm playing for X Plays and reviews on Miketendo 64.
I mean, we're among friends. We can talk. It's not a problem.
Right, but I didn't know if any of those were under embargo, as far as sharing
As
thoughts.
far as I know, the 3 games that I gave you, I mean, the last one's Cell. That's not under embargo. That one's already released. I think the other 2 are already released by now anyway. They've been out for a couple of months.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, I know. So I have a couple others that I'm playing. Let me just double check on the dates of those.
There's Cloud Gardens,
Yep.
Mr. Prepper,
Yep.
and Cell, as far as I know that you've got from us.
Yeah, and then I have 2 more. It looks like the one I can't talk about. Let's see this other one that's coming out, or is out on Switch. I played 2 very different games last night, and I'd love to share my thoughts a little bit, but maybe if I'm under it.
For our
It was
audience.
like video game whiplash, just as far as 2, one first-person shooter type game, and then another one like a very slow-paced puzzle platformer. Nope, I can't talk about either of them.
So for our audience who may not know, embargoes mean that we as reviewers can't talk about games, even though we're reviewing them.
But
And those that do call themselves insiders.
Oh yes.
So wait,
gotta love those insiders, you know.
So
Question here.
So
Sorry,
if I
Karen.
talk about the games, do I get a blue check because I'm now an insider? Or how does that work?
Well, does your uncle work at Nintendo?
There you go.
Yes.
You just miss out.
So
Well,
we
I
have
will
a question here from Force in Unison that says, is the first-person shooter one that has been trending on social media?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Does its name refer to something metallic?
I'm gonna say no, that this has not anything to do with.
Wow, you're
and I'm not sure as far as
Okay.
really trying to skirt the lines of this embargo, you know.
Yeah, well, I feel like
We're playing Guess Who with video games under embargo. Click, 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 click.
Is it a Switch game? Well, yes.
well, yeah, I mean, it is a Switch. It is a Switch game.
I mean, it's for Miketendo. Of course it is.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I actually got a review code for PlayStation and Switch, so I'm interested to see how different.
Oh yeah.
Is it a PS4 game running on the PS5?
No, it's a PS5. It was a PS5.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Nice.
I'm assuming
Interesting.
it's the PS5 version, yeah.
We're talking 8K to 1080p.
Oh my gosh.
well,
Don't even get me
we're
started.
talking
4K
4K.
now. 8.
We're talking 4K at 30 frames per second.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
But 1440p at 60, probably.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Which is an interesting discussion point that we'll need to have at some point later
Eventually.
on.
But I will be able
Or a
to
topic of its
possibly talk
Oh my
about it
gosh.
and tweet about it later this week.
I coughed
When is
the embargo
so
up?
hard.
No, I can't say that because then you might go and look at the release dates and put some things together.
I think I have an idea of what it could be.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm
Oh,
not
wait,
going to
actually-
say, obviously.
Crap, I might have to take it down. I actually tweeted it out that it's played in 2 days.
Oops.
But I
Oh
don't
my
think
gosh.
I don't think saying that I'm playing them.
No, I think
I don't know.
that's okay. I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's part of
Okay.
the embargo. You can say a few days ahead. If,
Yeah.
You know.
But you can't
what
show any
you're playing,
footage and
but
all
you
that
can't
stuff.
actually show footage or say your actual thoughts about
Yeah.
it.
Which
Right,
is,
right.
Yeah.
So
It just
the
depends
two,
on the wording of the embargo itself.
yeah. So the two games is just Endling. Forget the subtitle for that one, and it doesn't show up on the game screen. I think it's Extinction is the End, and then the other one is Bright Memory Infinite.
Oh,
which
right.
was released on PC years ago,
Mhm.
and I think it's now making its fuller console.
And Endling Extinction is forever.
Yes,
Extinction is forever. But on that note, we should
It's
probably
not something you
start.
can come back from, that's for sure.
No.
Just ask the dodo. Oh wait.
I want to see.
What did you just call me?
I want to see one for real. They should
I do as
Jurassic Park a dodo. But anyway.
I mean, we've seen how bad Jurassic Parking anything goes.
Life finds a way.
Well, just look at Jurassic World when you try and Jurassic
Oh
Park
my gosh.
a film series.
Look, I know people really enjoy that series. I went and watched it, and Jurassic World is just not it for me. But
First one was average at best.
honestly,
Better
yeah,
on the first to watch.
the second one, I lost it because they did this explosion, and when the explosion happened, the raptor came towards the camera, and it was like, I can't. But I think that's because the first Jurassic Park, way back when, was just so mind-blowing and just amazing, and I think I keep trying to recapture that, and that's just not happening.
There is also one other very key thing about it as well, though. That
You're gonna say
it was
Chris.
Steven Spielberg,
Right, I do think that.
who was a good director for the most part.
God, he made Schindler's List and then was just like, I'm done. I'm not making any cool movies anymore.
So I got to experience. So we went and saw the last Jurassic World Dominion movie or whatever. But
Yeah.
Morgan had never seen them, and we were invited to go with a friend, his kid, and so we had to watch. I told her we would watch the first one because I didn't really want to see Jurassic Park 2 and 3 again.
Yeah.
And then we did World so that she knew of the characters. It was really fun watching Jurassic Park with Morgan and Bailey for the first time and having them see, for me, the scene where Grant and Ellie are in the truck or in the Jeep and the Brontosaurus walks through. And I swear, half the time I spent watching that movie, I was just watching them react to
Oh, yeah, you would.
things going on. So it was a lot of fun.
I bet
And
it
you
was.
didn't pull the camera out at any point and film reactions.
Listen.
For internet clout,
get-
you could have earned that TikTok money,
But,
I know. Well, I get a very slim window of
Aw.
teenagers
you can't
allowing
do
me
that
to
now.
record them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Yeah.
I usually have to ask for permission.
Minors.
Yeah.
Minors, you're not allowed to record minors anymore.
Oh, fair, okay, alright.
So stay out
So
of
we-
A
their
lot of
minds.
unsavory
But
people on the internet.
there are.
Yeah,
There
so
are.
We did have a comment a couple of more comments
Okay,
came
then
in.
I want
So
to tell
Force in
Jonathan
Unison-
something.
Yeah, of course. So Force in Unison said, I think Hideo Kojima didn't like the new Fall movie. He just
Oh, I
said
know, I
and
saw
offered
that.
no opinions about it. And I just cracked up laughing reading that.
Yep, it's true. He just said, I've seen this Thor movie. It's just, I haven't seen Loki, but I bought the pamphlet.
He did the same thing recently with another movie, and I can't remember what it was. And it was it's because he really hated it, clearly.
Captain Marvel, I believe.
It might have been, yeah.
It was just But, Jonathan, back to Jurassic Park. There is, I kid you not, a VR demo of the scene, first-person scene, where the Tyrannosaurus first appears on screen in Jurassic Park.
Nice.
I've obviously only watched it, on video, watching other people do it. It's terrifying in the best way. I would love to play that, but it's VR, and it's
Very good.
really good.
Yes, so last couple of comments before we get to recording, because time is short today.
Yeah.
So, Brent stated the newest Jurassic Park isn't even about dinosaurs.
See, yeah.
No surprises
No,
there.
I did have a friend of mine talk about that the other day. I was talking with MYT of the Elite Institute, and he says it wasn't so much a survival film now, it's more like a rescue film, because they had to go and get the girl,
Yep.
and there just happened to be dinosaurs around.
Right.
So, I can see that point.
Yeah.
I feel like I looked at my watch and it was like 40 minutes in before the first dinosaur even
Oh,
showed up.
see, no. I go for the
No.
dinosaurs. No.
Yep.
I mean, did you see all the old characters coming back first?
Yeah.
There
Even
you
that
go. So
wasn't-
it's the old nostalgia bait, Let's get.
Yeah.
It did definitely try to drag on that nostalgia. Yeah, it definitely
Right.
tried to, cash in
Yeah.
on that. And it's like, okay, this is where we want the focus to be, getting these characters come back and meeting the new characters and stuff like that. And you think, but you'd save it until the very last in the series, because where do they go from now, really? I mean, when
Right.
the film about dinosaurs is now not even about dinosaurs anymore, it's about freaking locusts.
Let's not.
Yeah. A friend of mine said it best when we got out of the theater. He basically said they figured out how to get all the old cast back, and then they wrote a story around them.
That's perfect. That's the perfect descriptor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Speaking of film and TV, as from Force in Unison, there's a new Willow TV show coming. So I sat down and watched the first half of Willow with my kids last week.
Aww.
We will be finishing it tonight.
I love Willow. That's one of my...
Haven't seen it in years.
Oh my gosh. Willow, Princess Bride, and Labyrinth were my childhood watching them over and over and
Princess
over.
Bride is very good. Oh yes.
Mm.
Oh yes.
I'm worried about rewatching Willow with the girls because Lee apparently had a crush on Doc.
Oh my goodness. Well, he don't look
Everyone
like
did.
that no more. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh no, he doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why Val Kilmer was Batman.
Yeah.
COVID got to him. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That's the excuse we're using here.
He did tweet out though. I did see that he tweeted out to like Tom Cruise. Great job on the new movie or whatever. And I was like, oh, Iceman.
That's a bit awkward, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
suppose he could have came in for a cameo, perhaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they kind of should have, but yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, finally, Chris Brandrick has come in and said howdy. So howdy.
Howdy.
Hey, Chris.
Okay.
And Jonathan said hello, Chris.
Oh goodness, that
Hello.
rascal
Hello
in chat. Oh gosh,
Hello.
no, no one can say that. Okay.
All on 3, 3, 2, 1. Hello there.
I'm not involved. Anyway, just quickly before we record, just so we can get the salt flowing. Anyone
Wait, we're
seen
not
the
recording?
trailer for the
This
Rings
is my
of
best
Power?
stuff right here.
Oh goodness.
I did, Pete. Lee and I
did
watched
as
it last
well.
night.
Yeah, Pete, what you got to say about it?
It looks like dog crap.
It does not. I cannot wait. I hope. Now I know Amazon does not have a good track record. I know that they're not using actual material from Tolkien or whatever. I get it. But just give me a strong female character that carries a sword. I haven't had one since Brienne. I just want someone that I can look at and go,
Sorry,
oh,
wait.
That's me.
Wait. So you're going to abandon everything you say about lore for a chick with a sword?
For a chick with a sword, I will, absolutely.
Okay, fine. Look, I can respect that. I totally can respect that. But no, I cannot. I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan.
Oh,
But this
see,
just
I
looks
am.
like tripe to me. Hello, Nana.
Howdy.
I personally think that I'm going to be caught up in the spectacle of it. I feel like the shots, the world, and
Oh,
everything
yeah.
look great. But I have a feeling that the dialogue is just going to be exposition, and it's going to be
That's
contrived and kind of all over the place.
that's
Yeah, I think
been
so.
the problem I think with a lot of shows lately. Even Stranger Things 4, no spoilers. The dialogue, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if they're getting a computer to generate this dialogue, but it's
No,
some of the worst dialogue I've heard in several different things.
terrible.
It's
I mean,
it's
the
all
fact that they
exposition and this is what's
Yep.
happening in the scene, and it's show,
Yeah,
don't tell.
It's a tell not show at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment, and they also stole the line from Star Wars as well. The past is the past.
Well, sometimes in homage.
It's not an homage. It is literally a mentality of the freaking screenwriters at the moment. It's like everything that came before is crap. We'll do it our way, thank
Do
you.
it again.
When it comes to Stranger Things, yeah, they did kind of just go oh, season 1, that doesn't exist anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, the way that it was said in the Rings of Power trailer, it's like the past is the past. Yeah, take a shot at Peter Jackson, why don't you? And Tolkien, and
But
his
here's
work,
the thing.
and Christopher Tolkien, who also carried on his work.
But-
You know, the books that came are unfinished for a reason, and
But here's the thing,
it's the only one
he-
they could get the damn rights for.
But here's the thing. There is, like, Galadriel and... Oh, I forgot her name. The other battle maiden. They did fight these awesome battles that Tolkien never wrote about.
But not in the time period that they're setting this show in.
No. That was in the past, and even this
Yeah, but
refers
it's not
back
in the,
to that.
It's not, but it's not in the time period they're setting this show in. Actually,
I want to say
this is set during the second. This is set during the Second Age.
So they're talking about the past, and she was a mighty warrior, and I just want a female warrior. Somebody give me a female warrior, please. Because Brienne, I love Brienne.
Just reboot Xena. Just reboot Xena.
Yes,
Just bring back
I love
Xena.
Xena. Oh my gosh. I was like a adolescent when that came out. I was like a preteen, and I thought it was the greatest thing that ever happened. And I love Sam Raimi forever.
Yeah. So, look, I'm gonna watch it when it's done. Just get through it and just go. Okay.
I mean,
whilst I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, like I said, there is enough there to annoy me about it.
Well, I had high hopes for Witcher, the TV series, and
I watched it.
I struggled through the first one, but I was like, okay, we'll be good. The second one, the dialogue's so bad. But what's his face?
I'm
Cavill.
not caught up on that one.
Well, Cavill's amazing. The chick that plays his pseudo daughter. No, I don't like her at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Siri.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's really cute and good. There's some plot holes there, but it's cool. But that dialogue just crashes and burns. But
dialogue for everything at the moment, I'm afraid. Let's move on.
Okay, what does chat have to say? Galadriel will own the new show. I hope so. I'm not gonna lie. I need new cosplay ideas because my last cosplay, I kid you not, besides Brienne, was Bowsette.
Of course.
I need a new cosplay character.
Going on to Google now.
Aged quite a bit.
That internet meme lasted all of about 5 minutes, and you did a cosplay for it. So
I did.
I
still have the crown and everything, Pete. I should send it to you.
Sometimes, Pete, 5 minutes is all you need.
Oh, I know. Please don't send me the crown. I think Rachel would get rather worried.
No, you give it to Rach. Anyway, so Kylie would do that for sure. Yes, just give me a sword. I would be happy. I have Prime, so we'll watch the first episode, see if it hooks me. Really and honestly, Brent, that's exactly what I will do, is watch the first show. And I try to watch at least 2 shows and see if it hooks me. It doesn't always, and then I just kind of give up.
Depends on how long the season is. I'll just wait until it's done.
Have you seen The Boys yet?
Oh, The Boys is my favorite. Oh my gosh, that is my favorite show right now.
Now that season 3 is done, I am gonna go and watch it because there's a big block of episodes I can watch.
It's so good.
I watch my shows like that now.
Yeah, I do too.
Same for us.
Yeah, I've become a binger in my own way. Not quite a typical binger, but
yeah, because that's the thing. So I'm now at the point, obviously, with the other podcast that I can watch Loki. So I've been watching that, and
see, that's where Pete and I disagree. My 2 favorite Marvel experiences are Pete's 2 least favorites. So.
I can't go into full details because I haven't finished the series with Kurt yet. But I've watched so far.
My favorite is WandaVision and Loki, so...
officially, I'm at episode 4. Unofficially, I finished the series.
And you still feel the same way?
Yeah.
I can't, but I know. I will be quiet for your behalf, Pete.
I mean, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has them, and they all
and they smell.
Yeah, someone has to be an outlier here, and I'm gonna say it now. Phase 4 is utter tripe.
I weirdly.
There's not a single thing I've liked apart from Spider-Man.
To be honest, if I haven't seen Loki. I mean, I've seen bits of it on YouTube and that, and I haven't been really wanting to see it either. So I can totally understand where you're coming from.
Right.
I mean, maybe it can wow me. I mean, I haven't got problems with Tom Hiddleston as an actor. I think he's a very good character, especially in the films as well. Actor, rather. As Loki, he's a very, very good, character as well. But it's just not enough. I mean, when Marvel started breaking out all these little series and everything, just to try and cash in, it's now sort of like taken away. And I don't think Phase 4 has been as good as the other phases.
No.
That seems to be the general consensus among most people.
Well, it's all about putting the pieces in place for what they're building up to. I think. Yeah, because they're using a lot of the tertiary characters. Since they kind of went all in on the big names in the first 3 phases, I think that's where it's struggled a bit. I mean, I personally we just finished Ms. Marvel, and I will say the Obers are Marvel TV shows, and even the Star Wars stuff is the thing that gets Morgan and Bailey out of bed at 6 o'clock to watch on a Wednesday before I go to work. Aww. So personally, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has just been something that we as a family have watched and experienced together.
I love that.
Probably all the movies. Morgan and Bailey are probably several times through most of the TV shows. I think Morgan and Bailey just restarted Loki, and I think that's their 3rd or 4th time on it now.
Wow.
That's Pete, see?
And so for us, it's a family thing.
Yeah, of course. That will always overrule anything, really.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I think seeing, especially Ms. Marvel with them, because it does, gear itself down to maybe that teen tween, demographic.
Oh, it's definitely,
It's been so much fun. It was so much fun watching that with them.
Yeah. So
it's been fun. So
that's the thing is that Mike did say something interesting. Is that Tom Hiddleston's a really good actor, and I do have to agree with him. But obviously,
he's amazing.
I can't go into my full thoughts of what with the series, obviously, because it's reserved for another podcast, so you'll have to go and listen to that once it's done. But
put a link in the chat.
I will do eventually. But it's the character himself in the series is very inconsistent to how he has been. So I don't want to go into full details in that respect, but obviously you have to remember which time period he's come from, yet he's acting like the completely different time period version. And it's so strange.
I actually, weirdly, I'll say this and then we'll move on. We'll start the show. I actually see what you're saying, Pete. But I personally feel again, this is just a person who's a nerd, who's read the comics forever and blah, blah, blah. The Loki that's in the television show and that's in Ragnarok is the proper Loki. And the one before, I was like, So for me, it's kind of reversed, but you're not wrong. I mean, yeah, I would agree with that.
You get punched by Hulk and thrown around to the ground a couple times. You're going to get a little bit of a jarring, emotional state.
Sure. Yeah, I do get that, but like I said, I'll go into it more details. You'll hear more what I have to say at the end of the series. So I will.
But who really owns Disney Plus series? It's all digital streaming, So who really owns?
Speaking of digital and owning things, yes. Ooh, they should have digital segues. Pete, tell me one last time what this episode number is.
129.
129. Okay, and then
right, it's in the chat.
I don't got it. Okay, count me down, and I will intro us.
Okay. Well, I do need to actually start the recording, so
do that, and then I will intro us.
We will start this show in 3, 2.
Welcome to Rapid Reviews Radio, episode 129. I am joined today by 2 guests. Yes, two is better than 1. So, I'm your co-host, Kiley Wilde, and I'm joined by my ever-present co-host, Pete Beckett.
Hello.
But our 2 famous guests, friend of the show, Miketendo.
Hello.
And also kind of friend of the show, I guess, because he also is part of Miketendo. It's Jonathan.
Hello there.
My colonial brother.
And of course he does the hello there. But We are very excited about today's show because it is a topic that has been at the forefront of the news for the last, definitely last week, probably 2 weeks. Kind of kicked off by Ubisoft. Of course, Pete will go into more detail about that here in a little bit. But our underlying topic for today is digital versus physical and where it lies within each of us and also the future of gaming. But before we get into that, I like to kind of check in with everyone, see how their week's been, just kind of get the sillies out, which I'm telling you, with this crew, it's going to be silly the whole way through. So just strap in and enjoy.
I'm glad you said strap in.
Yeah, I know. I almost said the other, and I was like, no.
Oh, thank goodness.
I'm gonna self-censor for Pete's sake. For Pete's sake.
Oh,
my
good.
gosh, that's the best. So, Jonathan.
And away we go.
Jonathan, we'll
It's
start
only
with you.
taken 2 minutes.
Oh, it's gonna get worse, my friends. But Jonathan, how's your week been?
Yeah, so we're coming off of a vacation. My family, so my wife, my 2 daughters, and then also my mom. We went up to Maine, which roughly about 8 to 10 hours of driving.
Really?
Went through New York City, did the Harry Potter store, the Nintendo store. Lego store was closed, so I was a little sad about that.
Yeah.
And then went and stayed in Maine, and we did Acadia National Park, which is just a beautiful
Nice.
national park overlooking the ocean. Got to put our feet in the very cold water, enjoy some rest and relaxation. About the hardest part and the biggest downside, my mom had fallen while we were looking for a lighthouse, and so we kind of, made us kind of take it easy the rest of the week and everything, and we still enjoyed our time and everything, but we got back basically like midnight Saturday, and so I'm coming off of a long drive home.
Yeah.
Some Maine lobster, and just enjoying the whole trip and
nice.
everything, so.
Oh,
Good
my
times
gosh.
and a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
very
Just
And I have to go to work on Monday.
Of course. Can I put this into perspective for our US or people who are listening overseas? A 8 to 10 hour drive is basically my drive from here to Scotland.
You go pick up Kieran. But see, me coming from Texas, 8 to 10 hour, that would be a kind of normal vacation drive.
Like you're still in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. You're still in Texas, especially where I lived. 'Cause I think one end to the other was 13 hours.
So I went through. We were, started in Pennsylvania, went through New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then into Maine.
Nice.
And actually, no, we might have hit the bottom corner of New Hampshire.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's how many states we were able to go through in that little trip.
That's
a
really
lot of
cool.
new places there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Did
a lot of
You've done
fun.
the
I
trip
mean,
before, haven't you?
yeah. So my wife has family from up there. So the first time I went up there was 19 years ago when Lee and I were engaged, and then went up again a few years ago to visit family, and then went last year with her family, her mom and dad and sister, and then this year with my mom.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I think after this trip, I think it's like, okay, now we need to do a vacation elsewhere. And maybe put me to rest for a little bit.
I was gonna say
Maybe
drive to
vacation
Vacation from the
California.
vacation.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Maybe
good. It was just,
to-
see something else.
Well,
Maybe to Florida. Is it going to be in Florida? I think New Orleans when the Super
Ooh.
Nintendo World's going to open
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I mean-
Ooh.
Obers are probably looking at like a Disney Star Wars at Galaxy's
Yep.
Edge and
Nice.
Hogwarts and
Oh, Disney
Nintendo,
is
like,
wonderful.
doing all that stuff. I've never been to Disney.
Oh, Disney's wonderful. Yeah, because once you cross down into the south, you're getting in my area, and I'm here to tell you that Disney is fun as heck. And also,
Oh,
New
for
Orleans,
goodness sakes.
you gotta go to New Orleans, and you gotta have them beignets.
So I think if we do a trip, I mean, I think that's where we'll look at going and
Florida's
probably
great
flying
for
down. For
Nice.
something like that.
Yeah,
So you don't have to
driving
drive.
down might be a thing.
I can
Yeah, I think that's
understand
like
that.
I think that's like 16 to 20 hours.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is.
Losing out on some very valuable Switch playing time in that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Mind
well-
you, by the time you get down there, Morgan's your oldest, isn't she?
Yes, yeah, she'll be driving.
You might,
Oh,
yeah, she'll
there
be
you go.
driving,
Okay.
and that way you and
There you
Lee,
go.
Switch
you and Lee
off.
can play the Switch in the back.
Maybe.
I've done my 16 years of driving. It's your turn now.
Oh my goodness. Well, Brent in chat says my trips to Charleston, which is North Carolina, right?
Mhm.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
it's
It
North
is, isn't
Carolina.
it?
Every month our 4-hour drive, and it's the same state.
Jeez.
4-hour drive, not to brag, because it's not a brag, was what I had to drive every weekend between Tyler and Cleveland, Texas. So 4 hours is nothing to me. But that means we moved to Mr. Miketendo himself, friend of the show. How's your week been?
My weekend, well, it's not been too bad. I mean, I know we're all suffering from a heat wave at the moment.
Oh gosh.
Spain is around 38 to 40 degrees along the coast, and 45 Celsius, I must add, for anybody
Right. Yes. Good
who
point.
works on Kelvin or Fahrenheit. And
Kelvin's from Belfast,
which
by
means
the
it's
way.
hot.
Oh
it's
my
it's
gosh.
very hot, very, very hot.
So
We've got the air con on constantly, the fans on, and I mean, even now I'm just
yeah.
pouring off of me. Doesn't look like it. That's video effects there, but yeah, I'm drowning right now. I am swimming.
Oh my gosh, there you go. But Mike, okay, so a few questions about Spain, just because of my curiosity. So that's where like oranges are, right? So,
See?
so, so can you just like go
Pretty much.
walking and pull oranges off a tree and eat them?
Well, funny enough, in some places you can, though you're not supposed to.
Oh right, okay.
Because they're
mainly
owned
because
by
obviously,
Tropicana.
wow. Well, no, what it is obviously, I mean, in the fields and the orchards and stuff like that, well, obviously, they're grown purposely. So, they put in nutrients
right.
and stuff like that to help the trees grow. But whereas in a
Right.
town or in a city, you walk around, you see an orange tree. There are in some towns and cities, but then they're not going to taste the same as one that's come from an orchard.
Right.
Because they don't have the same nutrients
right.
as they would have in the other field in the fields.
Ah, that's actually a good point. I never thought of. But yeah, every time I think of Spain, I think of coastline and oranges. I have yet to go there though, for our listeners. But I want
Typical
to.
holiday destination for most Brits.
Yeah.
I've been to
It
Spain
is.
twice.
Oh wow. I've heard it's just beautiful, and they filmed Star Wars there. So.
They
I've been to
have.
that. I've been to that plaza where they walk.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, see, I want to go there.
Yes, that is true. I'm trying to remember which the plaza it is now.
But the
Is it
coastline
Sevilla?
has sand, and I don't like sand.
it gets everywhere.
Let's not let-
Everywhere,
I guess we're
I
just
believe
gonna
it's-
quote
wait-
Star Wars.
Waiting for that to come out.
Mike, I believe it is Sevilla.
That
Sevilla.
right? Okay. You mean Seville?
Mind you, they shoot a lot of big
Seville.
films. Oh yes, Seville. Yeah, sorry for everybody
Yeah,
else.
but
Sevilla is Seville.
yeah, let's not, because that sounds very close to a particular British person we don't want to mention.
Oh my goodness! Oh
Oh,
gosh!
that's got an A in it. Less said, the better.
Yeah,
And no,
that's for
we're not
sure.
going to be fixing anything. So.
Oh
continue.
my! Oh gosh! Okay, I'm not kidding y'all. I have to do this little tiny segue, and then we'll get to Pete. But my electrician is named Jim, and my lights are out, and I keep going, Jim will fix it, and I'm like, oh. Sorry, U.S. people, you're not gonna get that, but it's better that you don't.
Just take my reaction as being very, very bad.
But anyway, Pete, that brings us to you. How's your week been?
Probably the most uneventful out of everyone. Just been working away in this heat, and that's
Wow.
it.
Still though.
Mostly all right. Can't complain. Been out a couple of times. Went out to Brighton yesterday with the partner and her friends. very nice weather, very enjoyable day.
Yeah.
Went out to the pub on Friday evening with a few people from work and just played some Fall Guys in the evening with the Rapid Reviews crew, and just that was enjoyable.
It was very fun. Do know that is open to any of our listeners. We are playing Fall Guys quite a bit, actually. And it
Probably
is
far too much, actually.
It's so fun. It's so fun to get on there. And, like, I don't even play with the group. I kind of play my own, like, I say play my own self, but you know what I mean. I just, like, chat and stuff, and it's fun, and I love it. It's great.
Can I add a Fall Guys issue that I have right now?
Sure.
I cannot play on a squad or team, whatever they call them, with Bailey because she's in a child account or youth account or whatever.
That's a
even
thing?
though I'm her parent.
What?
I didn't
Yes,
even know that was a
because
thing.
You can't chat or group up with somebody.
Oh
that's,
my goodness.
I mean, that's good. Like, I get it. Like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
But
Like,
I
she
didn't
can't
even know
join
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
part of the reason why I decided to install it
Mhm.
again. Like, I have it on my PC, but I installed it on probably the PlayStation.
Well, there you
Switch
go
now.
for our listeners. If
And-
you didn't know
and
that.
that was depressing. And I reached out to Fall Guys, and of course, the support got a generic like, we'll look into this.
Oh,
Of course,
gosh.
yeah.
I mean,
Of
you
course.
think if there was a child account, they would do possibly a parent account
Yeah.
to connect with?
Almost like a
So,
sponsor.
even if they can't, go with any other players online or do voice chat with any other players online, they'd still be connected to, like, the parent account.
Right.
So you would have thought that they would be able to play together.
I'm actually
that's-
genuinely shocked about that. I would have never known that had Jonathan not said that just now.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
wild.
I think
I
I
wouldn't
posted
know.
about it when the Switch version came out because that's the system she has, and,
Mhm.
plays on and everything. But yeah, it was kind of sad. I was like, this is really the only reason,
Wow.
I had them, go and install it was so that we could. Not the only reason, because obviously the
Yeah.
main reason is to play together and squad.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, do it.
crazy.
Well, gotta wait till my kids get old.
Yeah.
I guess so. Either that
It'll
or
be-
later. Nice.
For our
I recognise that from EGX.
for our listeners.
Yes.
For our
I
listeners.
thought, I might as well take one.
I mean, I wish I would have taken one now.
Mike has a crown for
Is
our
that a Fall
listeners
Guys
at
crown
home.
or a Bowsette
is-
crown?
It looks like a Fall Guys
It
crown.
can be
It
both.
is a Fall
It is
Guys
a Fall
crown.
Guys crown, yeah.
It could
Yeah,
Is it
work
as well
as
as a
both.
Bowsette?
It could
It
work
probably
as
does.
Bowsette. Oh my goodness, Mike, you'll turn
mean,
into
most
a
cosplay
beautiful, a beautiful, I was gonna say turtle. Wait, no. What is Bowser? He's not a turtle.
Lizard.
He's a lizard, right?
Cooper.
But he's
Whatever
got
a
a
Koopa
shell.
is. He does have a shell. Oh my gosh, I'm
It's
confused.
confusing. All right.
Pete, you
It's
need to have the
confusing.
answer to this. That's your homework
It's
for this week.
it's a Cooper.
I always saw
It
him
says
as a
he's a
And a
dragon.
turtle.
Cooper
It
is
says-
it's a
It says,
Cooper-
it says he's a
yeah.
turtle. He's the king of Koopas. Anthropomorph. Yeah, that one. Turtles.
He was originally designed to be more like a bull. And a horse.
Right, because he does have the horns.
Yeah.
See, I've always
So-
seen him as a
And
dragon
then
because
they
he breathes
altered his
fire.
appearance.
Right.
So Bowser is a shrew.
So,
Probably a jackalope.
but okay. So one question, and then we'll start the actual
We've
show.
definitely got to move on.
I know, but I gotta know. So in Super Mario 3, which to me is the second superior Super Mario, being that Super Mario World is the superior one. But Super Mario 3.
You said the right thing. You've said the right thing.
Yes.
You're allowed to say what you want now.
But Super Mario 3, he has the 8 kids. Are those his actual kids? Because I keep
No.
saying... See, I'm very confused by that.
No, there's an issue with that, and
Because
the fact
Windy
that it
Cooper
said
and
that
all
it was
that.
the kids in the instruction manual from
Yeah.
1988, but that has now since been retconned by Miyamoto.
That's very strange. So who are those kids?
They're just the
Lindy
Koopalings.
and Windy and all them?
Yeah, they're just known as the Koopalings, who are not
Or
sure
Lemmy.
how they even
There's
came
Lemmy
to
in
be.
it.
They're just his underlings.
Oh gosh.
And they're all
Right,
named.
Clones.
Write some fanfic.
Yeah, and then-
Out there.
well,
But I
and
think
they're-
there one exists with
Hey,
Sonic
you
and
capture the princess enough times, you're gonna end up with a few.
Look, the princess
I mean,
obviously wants to be with Koopa, and Mario needs to just let that happen, okay?
I mean, it's a fanfic. I mean, it's just a theory.
That is was one of my favorite
Well,
theories. For our
I was
audience,
setting up for something that may have got me sued, so I better not.
Yeah. But yes.
Pedal back. The Nintendo ninjas are gonna come. Pedal back.
Yeah, walk it back.
I just-
Walk it back.
Unison says they're stormtroopers kidnapped and brainwashed to
Oh,
make
okay.
Bowser's minions.
Right. See, I haven't caught up on the lore. It's so long.
You're all right. Me and Mike are here. We know enough.
Exactly. Well, that's why I went ahead and brought it up. But chat says, Force in Unison says they're like stormtroopers kidnapped as kids to be brainwashed and make them his minions. See, I think clones. And then Brent says they grew up to be the Koopa
They came from
brothers.
Kimono then, did they?
Oh man.
And Koopa sis.
Mixing
Wendy,
our
of
laws
course.
now.
Yeah. Cool. That's really interesting. Anyway, before I get obsessively into
Yeah, let's not talk about lore because
Koopa
that
lore.
could be a 2-hour show in its
It
own
legit
right.
could be. It legit could be. The Mario universe, and I don't mean the game, I mean the whole Mario universe is just full of all these like lore and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I used to obsessively read the instruction booklets that came with them, which is sad that we don't have that nowadays. But yeah.
No, they just don't get developed by Nintendo anymore.
Oh,
Someone else does them.
Really?
Yes. Rowan.
there's a-
Rowan's a very good friend
Thank
of
you,
ours.
yeah.
He makes these instruction booklets on Etsy.
Oh,
He's actually got his own website now, mbpuk.net,
that's
I believe, and you
adorable.
can get them for Super Mario Odyssey, Animal Crossing, Breath of the Wild. He's got about
Yeah.
9 or 10 so far.
Yeah, and they're like
adorable.
apparently
Oh.
like really, really well printed, like really well illustrated and stuff like that,
gosh.
like old instruction manuals used to be, and
What a
they're the
good
right size to be able to
idea.
fit in your Switch cases.
They are. Hang
Aw,
on, actually, yes. If I can
what
bear
a
with
good
me.
idea.
Obviously, those that are listening to the podcast won't be able to
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
The-
we usually
Twitch.tv/rapid reviews.
we usually have Kieran with us
Oh,
who
no.
describes what's happening for our listeners, but he's not here, so we'll just do the
Yes.
visual.
Well, while he's looking for that, Kylie,
Yeah.
what have you been up to?
Oh yeah, I guess I should say
Yeah,
that.
we better discuss that.
Well, I actually. Oh wait, I gotta
Amazing.
look at this. Oh, those.
One for
Yeah,
Arceus.
these are some of the
a new
latest
Pokemon
ones.
Snap.
Look, I
These
legit.
small 3x5-inch books are made of a high-quality paper with a glossy finish.
Glossy
They
finish.
fit snug within
Glossy
your
paper.
Switch.
I
If
mean,
you
look,
choose
why?
no physical.
Look,
I-
why
Now,
does
if
it?
you
Why
choose
does?
the digital version, you would just have a bunch of these little pamphlets lying around.
Full circle,
Hey,
back
that's
to
actually a
it.
pretty good, accent there,
But that's the
Jonathan.
thing is that
You
Switch
make me
cases
late
have
now.
those. Switch cases have those little bits in them to be able to hold an instruction book. So why not? And apparently we're now the new QVC
I
channel.
love it. But I do want to say for our listeners at home, this is actually a very high quality looking product. Actually, if you really like lore books, not lore books, that's what I call them.
Instruction manuals.
Instruction manuals from like the old days, 80s, 90s. These are the business. That's really cool. Like, I really like that. But, okay.
Not sponsored, by the way.
Not sponsored. That was completely not.
Should be. Should be.
Should-
Rowan,
yeah.
Reach out,
you know.
Rowan. Reach out.
There you go. But no, for myself this week, mine's kind of short, quick, and to the point, as always. I actually went back to the gym after 2 years. I did have a little bit of personal training in that 2 years, but it wasn't like hardcore. It wasn't what I was used to. It was actually used to correct I have a birth defect that causes me a little tiny limp, and so it's going to some personal training for that. But I am back hardcore, lifting weights, living my best life. Cannot wait. Next week I start back at the gym 5 days a week. And here's the funny thing about that, and then we will quickly move on. I tell people that I'll be back 5 days a week, and everyone's like, "God, that's too much. That's too much gymming. You can't do that. Oh my gosh." My trainers go, you need to be in like 7 days a week. So that shows you the difference between civilian life and gym life. So I'm very looking forward to that next week. I will be dead and not able to move for a good 6 weeks, but it'll be worth it. And it'll be beautiful and amazing. But I'm going to read chat very quickly, unless you want to, Pete, to catch us up.
I can do that quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, Force in Unison put rapid reviews, new QVC channel. Jonathan has very handily put a link to Rowan's Etsy shop, which I'm looking through now. I want the Mario Odyssey one, the 3D World one, and I'm willing to spend money, so, you know,
they're
not good.
really good, yeah.
Rowan, you've done dangerous things here. Nana has moved back in with the parents and are now looking for a job. I hope the job search goes well, sir. Good sir.
Now, I want to say, because I'm here to say, I just want to take over. No, but I do want to say on Nana's behalf, like, there is nothing wrong with moving back in with your parents at all. I lived, like, Pete is a good example of that. And I didn't just call him out. Like, he totally was like, me, for our listeners.
I was.
Yeah.
Cool. No. I make no bones about it. I'm saving for a house. It's expensive, you know, so need to do what we got to do.
Yeah, and like I lived with my mom right up until I moved here, and actually, if she hadn't passed, she would probably have come with me. So there is no shame in moving back in with your parents and finding your.
Sometimes it's a necessary evil, you know. Circumstances happen, and you know.
Yeah. For sure, 100%.
And it's getting very, very difficult economically, you know, for some people. I mean, the salary's not rising. You know, the price and cost of living is constantly going up all the time. Yeah. And when the salary does go up, you know, it's very meager. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get $5 more this month. Fantastic.
Well,
yeah, but your cost of living's gone up 20.
Exactly. Exactly. 5 cents an hour, you know, it goes up, and it's like, okay, 5 cents an hour doesn't really equal, you know, what's going on in the world, type of thing.
It definitely doesn't, but we are verging into a discussion point that's going to lead us down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to stop this dead right here.
Our politics podcast.
if I can add one thing, I'm on the flip side of that, where Lee and I are sort of not necessarily actively considering it, but trying to figure out the possibility of moving my mom.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we're kind of on the flip side of that. Trying to figure out.
But see, that is true, because, you know, for, I'll say, the younger generations, yes, living with your parents, it's actually an economic advantage for you. I encourage it. But then, of course, on the other side of that is when the parents are aging and stuff like that, you move them in with you. Like I said, I would have brought my mom with me, you know, had she'd been still alive, absolutely. You know, and it just makes sense. Just makes sense. Type of thing.
Anyway.
Yes!
Shall we move on with the topic at hand?
We are going to move on with the topic at hand, and I'm going to turn it over to one Mr. Pete Beckett to let us know what our subject is. And I think it's going to be a good one that a lot of people are going to have thoughts and feels about, and tater tots and pears.
Yes.
Because we're at that point in video game history, I don't know what future history is. That's not a thing, but where this is a future history. Yes. But it's a very, like, viable topic where you kind of need to know where you're landing on this, because you're at a crossroads now, and I know where I am, but I'm going to keep that to myself until we talk a little bit more. So, Pete, I'm turning it over to you. Give us a little background on what we're talking about.
Okay, right. I'll give you the 411 on this shizzle. So, this is in response to the story that came out over the last week that was then updated a few days later, so we can go into it in for a little bit. We are actually going to be discussing the all-digital future and our thoughts and feels about things like that, and whether or not we verge on the side of should the media stay all physical, all digital, or be a mix of both, like it currently is. So, I will read the story that has come from none other than Video Games Chronicle, VGC, because it's a trusted source here. So, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD will no longer be playable on PC as of the 1st of September. Like I said, this has been updated since, but we'll go through the update in a moment. The game has already been removed from sale, and according to a message on its Steam page, it seems players will no longer be able to even boot the game from September onwards. Now that's worrying. This is a quote: "At the request of the publisher, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD will no longer be available for sale on Steam," the notice says. "Please note this title will not be accessible following 1st September 2022. Last week, Ubisoft included Assassin's Creed Liberation HD as part of a list of games that it said would soon be losing online functionality and access to DLC. However, it now appears that the entire game itself will be inaccessible from September 1st.
The game's being liberated from the Steam library.
I was waiting for that joke to come out. Thank you very much.
Are you saying Ubisoft is its own assassin at this point?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that one.
No.
I mean, they
Is that something that we can decree? Can I, just so you know, I did pull up the Steam page, and it does say in a nice orange box, notice DLC for this product and online elements and features will become unavailable as of September 1st, 2022.
Okay.
The base game will continue to be playable. So
Okay,
I don't know if that article. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so this comes via the update number 1 that's on the page. It says Ubisoft gave VGC the following statement regarding its recent run of decommissioned games. Quote: We don't take the decision to retire services for older Ubisoft games lightly, and our teams are currently accessing all available options for players who will be impacted when these games' online services are decommissioned on the 1st of September. We're also working with our partners to update this information across all storefronts, so players will be fully informed about the removal of online services at the point of purchase, as well as via our supported article where we shared the news. Now, update number 2. Ubisoft issued a follow-up statement to VGC. As stated in our support article, only DLCs and online features will be affected by the upcoming decommissioning. Current owners of those games will still be able to access, play, or re-download them. Our teams are working with our partners. Yeah, that starts to then become like a bit of a PR statement at that point, so I'm not going to continue. But yeah, that's where we sit at the moment. So the long and short of it, you can still play it, you can still download it, you can still buy it up until the 1st of September. Any previous owners of that game will still have access to the game, but any new people will not.
Oh, that's a big one. That is okay.
It's also being review bombed right now on Steam.
Of course it is. Of course. I'm not surprised.
The negative reviews started. Like there was no review, at least that shows up for me. So when was that statement put out? When was it statement?
So the article was posted on the 11th of July. And any subsequent updates probably came in the later days. It doesn't say when they were updated, when the article was updated.
Okay. So there's definitely, and it's funny because obviously you can see people's playtime.
Yeah.
Like there's somebody that's just like posted it like an hour and a half on record, and they literally posted Ubisoft become thieves, and it just like did like a little, image graphic to show that. But it's definitely getting review bombed.
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Thanks, 4chan.
Yeah, there you go. Probably.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Mike, what are your thoughts and feels about just that statement alone, even?
Right. Okay. Well, now obviously, digital formats and for games is not something that we are really super hype on. I mean, we can understand that some people, it's their only means. So some people can only play it on Steam. Maybe they only have a PC, or maybe if they've got a games console, but they don't have the physical space to be collecting all these games, and it's just easier to have them digitally.
Right.
Now, the thing is, I mean, I can understand, Ubisoft having to try and take down a game or whatever. Maybe it's not getting played as much as it used to be. Maybe they need that space on the server for other things. So there are many different decisions going on behind the scenes as to why they take that down. I mean, for example, they could have taken maybe the Ezio collection down, but maybe then again no, because that's only just recently been re-released.
Right.
Maybe, you know, Assassin's Creed 4 or Syndicate, or, you know, it could have been any one of the games that chose this one. Now,
Black
it
Flag.
could be for no specific reason other than, you know, they need the space on the servers or whatnot. People are not playing it as much as they used to be. You know, but then trapping it to the point where, you know, people won't be able to play it anymore unless, you know, they've already downloaded it before September time. It's starting to get that, like, Super Mario 3D All-Stars thing again. You can buy it up to this point, then afterwards you can't buy it anymore, and then people start thinking, well, you know, if I buy it digitally, can I still play it? Well, technically, yes, and you can also re-download it if you want. But then you think, why would you keep the game up there so you could re-download it if you bought it, but you won't give people access to buying it new or for the first time? Yeah, I mean, and then especially, you know, people start review bombing it. Now, you really think it would go the other way? People will give it loads of positive reviews so that people will actually be interested in buying the game, and then Ubisoft might say, "Oh, hang on, it's making sales. Maybe we should keep it around after all."
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, you also have to look at this in terms of a game development aspect. Is if you are a smaller indie studio and you can only afford to sort of put it out on, your budget only encompasses you for a digital only release to start before you post what the sales are like, then obviously the only access that you have to be able to post your game is digitally. So it's a very interesting discussion point from either side of the angle, as a consumer, as a developer, as a as a publisher as well. Like, there are very many different facets of this discussion you can take into account.
Yeah, but here's my thing, and Jonathan, I'm gonna point this to you. What do you feel there is a difference, and if there is, what is that difference between, let's say, what used to happen, which were limited edition games? Sometimes Nintendo would release limited edition games, and these timed releases where they stop selling it to the general public. Is there a difference there between that, you know, being the limited edition games are normally physical copies, as opposed to this kind of basically a limited edition of a digital copy? Do you feel that there's a difference there?
I mean, I guess the only difference would be, like, there's literally a finite amount of cases, cartridges, discs, whatever it might be, that's printed, you know, up until, you know, and I don't know when exactly, like, Steam launched and what that transition of, like, computers with disk drives and the waning of that, and now, you know, something like Steam is all digital. You know, obviously, Pete's got a disc-based PS5. I recently just got one. Many of us, if not all of us, have a cartridge-based, you know, Switch, and maybe a disc-based Xbox, you know, sorts and stuff. But, you know, that transition has slowly been happening to just consoles, and, you know, the fact that we have digital-only versions of those. So as far as, like, is there a difference between a limited release physical, because there's a finite amount of them, and the finite limitation or whatever of the digital release, you know, that's probably where the similarities end in those. I don't know. I was, just so you know, my brain was a little sidetracked on, like, okay, first off, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Liberation. I will say I've never played it.
Okay, wait.
And I started looking up, like, I went to a list on, and these are not obviously, like, all-inclusive lists. And again, everybody has their own opinions on games, and maybe Liberation, you know, is your favorite Assassin's Creed games. But when I looked at the scores on something like Metacritic, it was getting, like, you know, 60s. When I looked at a list of, and I want to make sure just before I speak out of turn, I looked at a list of, like, every Assassin's Creed game ranked worst to best.
Oh gosh.
I don't think Liberation is even on the list.
It's not good.
Scrolling
it's not
through
good.
it, because I think it is, like, you know, again, it's one of those secondary kind of stories. It was tacked on to 3.
And it was also originally released as either I think it was a PSP game.
Yeah, I think there was. Well, okay, so
It's been
even on
so
Metacritic,
long.
the only thing that shows up for me is the Vita game, which is 2012.
Oh,
It
Vita,
was
sorry, yeah.
re-released
Yep.
in PC, Xbox 360, and PS3 in 2014, and then I think in
2 years
2021 was released on Switch, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like, so I guess one thing to put into perspective is we are talking about a game that in a series that, again, Assassin's Creed, love it or hate it, may be the worst one review wise.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not going to say because I've never played it.
It's
I am
not
kind of
great.
interested now of like maybe finding it and just trying it out. But like,
What was the one that was set in France that was incredibly broken on launch?
was that
that might be the
Syndicate?
worst reviewed.
Was that Syndicate?
I think
Let me
that
get
was
back to
Syndicate
it.
was the one that was set in London, I think.
It's London.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
Unity.
Syndicate
Assassin's
London.
Creed
Yeah,
Unity.
Yes.
that's the one. Yeah,
Unity.
And
yeah, that's
that
probably
is-
the worst reviewed.
On this list, that is the number 12 of the top 12. So
I actually
think
like Syndicate.
on one side, I want to put it in perspective. The other thing I opened up, and I don't know, again, I just quick Googled because of, that's what I'm doing. I looked at like VG Insights that has stats for Steam.
Yep.
There are currently, let me just refresh just to see if it changes. There are currently 15 active players 8 minutes ago, 28 in the last 24 hours. And
Whoa.
when I look at their little historical data from
You can't argue with that.
June to July, it peaks at 22, and its lowest is literally like 8. So we're also talking about a game, not only, so again, I just want to put first into perspective. We're talking about the game that's maybe the worst in the series. We're talking about a game that is 10 years old, 2012.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a game that doesn't right now, according to the stats, have a lot of active players.
No.
So
Mhm.
I think on one side, the perspective is, okay, these corporations look at, their bottom line. So that if there's a server or content that they're trying to maintain that costs them money, they're looking at a
Right.
return on investment. And if that return on investment dips below a certain line, they're probably looking at it and say, okay, what can we cut? Because again, we talked a little bit about this already. The economy is in such a way that maybe it's just like it doesn't make financial sense to do that. So I would agree on that way, and on that
Yeah.
perspective, on a business end, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. Another thing to keep into perspective is that, okay, September is how many months away? 3 or so.
Be
Or 2.
month and a bit.
Yeah, it's more like 2. Yeah.
So they're giving a little bit of a notice. So it's not like they just like it went away overnight kind of thing. Okay. I don't know what the file size is.
I can't
on this,
imagine
so-
it's very big at all. It's
Not particularly.
Yeah.
It's just probably just the
I
original
think
game with
it's
some HD
mainly-
textures.
And I would
I
say
think
if
it's mainly
you're
because of the multiplayer aspect.
Right.
Oh,
And-
Multiplayer on like the server, if you've only got like 8 people playing,
right.
and you're spending, I don't know how much it is to maintain a server
Right.
or to
Ah.
maintain a part of a server, but obviously, these big companies, I mean, they buy the space or whatever for that particular server. So if you've got a game like Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 3 or COD, for example, even
Right.
I hate saying COD, Call of Duty rather, Call of Duty, anyone you want, for example. It's got so many active players. It's got thousands. It's got millions of active players, and
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got, like you said, Assassin's
itself.
Creed Liberation, that around an average has 8 to 20
Right.
players online. You think it is costing the company more money to maintain? We're talking
Right.
like Devil's Third again on the Wii U, aren't we?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my
Where the
gosh.
multiplayer.
Yeah, and another thing to look there is what kind of consumer perspective are they going to get if you fire up a multiplayer game? And personally, again, I've played almost every Assassin's Creed game. I haven't played Liberation. I have never played Assassin's Creed for them. I've always felt that it's just been kind of a tacked on thing. But that
I can see
aside,
that.
like
I could agree with
if a bad customer experience is going to be buying this game thinking, oh, one line multiplayer, let's jump in, and you sit in a lobby and wait. and I don't know if there's bots in Liberation's multiplayer. So I think that's, all these things considered. Like if Fall Guys, for instance, because again we were talking about it, and Mike was wearing the crown. If Fall Guys would drop on its install base and its active player base, and they would see that and say, okay, again, return on investment, but if they don't want the negative impact of people saying, okay, I'm trying to get on and there's no online, and this happens all the time. Online gaming is, there's that initial adoption and hype and all that, and then it kind of drops off and it's a dead game. At what point, again, is that now a negative consumer experience? Because now they put out money for something that's not even going to have a viable audience. Yeah. So I think that's where, like, I look at the business side of it, and I think that's in our lead up to this podcast and this discussion, I think that's the thing that obviously spurs on, but then we need to think about the all digital future, and we'll get to that. But I think my thoughts are, at the end of the day, Ubisoft made a business decision.
Yep.
I feel like Ubisoft makes a lot of business decisions that I would not personally agree with. But I would say in this case, it's probably the most financial sense in that lowest rated, not a lot of active, and an old game. Yeah. And I'm just going to stop.
There's also one other thing that I wanted to bring up in terms of that as well. We had an announcement not a while back, and I can't remember exactly how long ago it was, but that is linked to Assassin's Creed, of course, so they could be clearing up room in the server for their potential online-only live service Assassin's Creed game.
And Liberation could be there.
Yeah.
As one of those. Yeah.
It could be. It could very well be. So they could just... I think in terms of this, Jonathan's correct. It's clearly a business decision solely.
Definitely.
And it's clearly meant to probably clear the room on the server because, like we said, the server costs are expensive. Mike also said that as well. They are very, very, very expensive, and obviously servers, like with hard drives, they get clogged, so you have to remove stuff to be able to optimize them and stuff like that. So
and because they haven't released those details, there's nothing that is necessarily, we don't know if when this, and I'm going to call it, it's probably just Ubisoft Connect or whatever, because they're probably going to, carry that over. But like, if you've purchased and linked, because I'm almost certain that like most Assassin's Creed games from like, I want to say like 3 on, which would include Liberation, you had to like link to your Ubisoft account.
Yes.
Even to play.
You play.
So what's not to say? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you play. What's not to say when you fire up this new service that it's like, hey, you already own Assassin's Creed Liberation. Here's your, your
DLC
digital
or
version,
whatever.
but here's this new version that's maybe, fits with this new live service.
That honestly was the most annoying thing about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, is the fact that to play it, I had to log into Uplay, and it was Ubisoft themselves that originally removed that game 10 years ago. So it's like, thanks guys. Are you going to do the same thing all over again?
Okay, that was my next question to you, Pete.
I'll prepare myself, shall I?
But as we start to move now into the actual discussion of, digital future, I was going to say, Pete, I'm trying to read what he's putting on the screen for our listeners. He's got his Scott Pilgrim versus the World and Streets of Rage 4.
Both of my copies from Limited Run.
Yes. Which is what we're going to get into now that Pete has just totally jumped on my question. I'm kidding.
Don't care.
I'm kidding. But no, Pete, it is you I wanted to turn to, especially about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That was probably for all of us the first kind of whoa moment that they could delist a game and take it from us.
Yes, absolutely. And it does come with an instruction book.
Oh my goodness, yes. So, Pete, if you haven't guessed, is a very much physical adherent, physical copy.
I literally take the same slogan as Limited Run. Always physical, all the time.
See? So,
Let's get physical, physical.
Well, there's the name of that's the name of this episode now.
I'm writing it down right now.
But, Pete, to kind of bring everything you've just said, because that is literally the answer to my question. But is, what are your thoughts and feelings now, having to experience, Scott Pilgrim being, delisted and then going out and purchasing the physical copy? What are your feelings about Ubisoft's position now, with, digital things? Do you think that's going to that's not the word, influence your choice in buying Ubisoft games in the future?
I don't think it has influenced my decision on Ubisoft games, because Ubisoft's poor practices helped with that, and we've made no bones about it in the past that I'm basically refusing to buy Ubisoft games until they are second-hand in other shops, so that they do not get any residuals from them. I'm personally not willing to support them in that fact. Now, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was a very different case because, like you said, I bought it physical. So most of that went to limited run. Yes, they would have had to have cut a deal with Ubisoft for that, but they also cut a deal with Brian Lee O'Malley and Anna Managuchi and a few other companies.
Well, do you want to fill our listeners in a little bit about Limited Run? Just a quick overview of who they are, what they do, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so Limited Run are an American-based company. They cut deals with indie developers and AAA developers alike. They've done deals with Ubisoft and a fair few others. I think they've also done some recent deals with some Rockstar games, WaveForward. Yeah, I was going to talk about Night Diver, the fact that they did the Quake remake or remaster recently as one. Obviously,
Shredder's Revenge.
World. Shredder's Revenge is a different case over here because you can get it limited run, obviously, but it's also available for a proper physical release normally.
Did it come with a VHS set?
No, it didn't. And that's the great thing, obviously, about the limited run collections is that you have the option to be able to do so, like to enhance the product to some degree. So after I finish talking, I will go and grab one of those that I have. So,
of course, you will.
So yeah, they are an American-based company, but they ship worldwide. So I obviously take that into account when you are ordering from them. They offer both basic. Either a basic version, a second-tiered version that's like a special edition, and then an ultra-limited edition, basically.
Like collector's editions.
Yeah, like the old-school collector's editions you used to get, but actually still come with physical games. So they will print cartridges, print very, very nice box art, as you can see from there. Like, the great thing about this one is if you can see in there, it is reversible, which is very nice. So they take a lot. They put a lot of care into their product. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, the No More Heroes 1 and 2 collection was a very cool one.
That was a very cool collection.
Yeah, so they'll often do deals with companies that are either re-releasing a game, remastering a game, or for those companies like WayForward who mostly do digital versions of games to be able to have a physical version. I know that they did one for River City Girls, which is a digital-only game, and like we said before, with other companies like indie developers, WayForward obviously had to get their start somehow. They've mostly banded around the digital scene for a very, very long time, and that's how they operate, because operating costs are very, very slim in terms of that when it comes to digital products. But Limited Run essentially sign a contract with them and give them proceeds from all physical returns from all physical purchases.
Well, that kind of presents the next question, which is going to actually go to all three of you. But we'll start with Pete, and then we'll go to Mike, and then we'll go to Jonathan. But being that, by all appearances, now of course we do not know the background, we don't know the back end of business and stuff like that, but by all appearances, digital distribution should, in theory, be cheaper than physical distribution. The recent kind of discussion point among a lot of gamers has been that games are now going up to a $70, £70 price point.
Yeah, and they're not capped based on which region in the world you are in.
They are not, that's correct.
You said here, so $70 in the US is still £70 in the UK.
It is.
it'll be like 70 or 80 euros for European audiences.
Right. So, do you think, though, that we should go more towards digital distribution because it will, in theory, bring costs down? What do you think about that, Pete?
I mean, it definitely would bring costs down to some degree, but obviously because you're not having the same cost of printing like cases, manuals. Manuals are mostly a thing of the past, like we said. But
Sadly.
to have a PDF version basically built in within the cartridge
Mm-hmm.
version or the CD-based, a disc-based version of a game, like can work. But you also have that option with the digital way. So it's just a file on your cartridge, on your disc, or on your file that you download from each respective shop. Now, I think I remember seeing something very interesting that actually they couldn't charge less for digital versions of games because of the physical version, because it would go against some anti-competition law, I believe.
It would basically be competing against itself for the physical version, I suppose. So, if one is cheaper than the other, then more people will just buy the digital version, and then they'll just shun the physical, mainly because it is that much more expensive, perhaps.
Well, Mike, what if they? What are your thoughts on?
Sorry, 2 seconds.
Okay. Of getting rid, like I haven't expressly asked your position on physical versus digital, so include that, of course. But if they were to get rid of physical copies so that the digital copies then become more affordable to the general public, do you think that is a good way forward?
Bottom line, I think it should still be both digital and physical. Because everybody has different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I love physical games. I like physically, being able to open the games, having a physical collection. I can look at and think, oh, what am I going to play today? As somebody who spent many, many years growing up in a caravan, funnily enough, and space was very, very limited. In that aspect, if people are in a very refined space or do not have the means to have a vast collection of video games, it is easier for them to be able to buy digitally and still have all their games, providing, like, for example, I know the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox,
Series S and
I forget
X.
which one it is. Yeah, it's
The Series
only
S
got
is digital.
a disc drive. Series S. Okay, so the Series S, which is digital, only has digital games. You don't have the option to play physical on them. There's Jonathan pointing to his.
So Series X that can play.
The X, you can. Look, I don't have any I can point to. Okay.
Your background is not as busy as ours.
Well, it's just because of the angle of where I got the camera. If you want to see some of my physical games,
here we
bear
go.
with me.
This is
I'm gonna have to turn the light off here, I think.
Magical tour.
Ooh.
Hey.
Oh,
my goodness,
my
that is a lot of
goodness.
physical Switch games.
Twitch.tv/rapid reviews if you want to see that collection.
And then they got rapid reviews playing in the background anyway.
Of course.
Zelda
very good. Also, I just wanted
Give me
to show
a quick look
this as
around, there you
well.
are.
Just an example of one of the limited edition stuff you get from limited run games. Modeled out to supposed to be like a Genesis
I was
case.
gonna say it is very, very well done.
Very bulky, very thick.
Very high quality.
And very high quality as well. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Story of my
Oh
life.
yeah, they do some very, very good stuff. Limited run games.
Yes. Sorry, that's Jonathan's new
Sorry about
tagline.
that, yeah.
Very thick, very
just
high
officially
quality.
killed me.
I've just got that then. I had to wait it back in my head, but yeah, I got it.
Well, Jonathan, kind of the same question to you. Your position on physical versus digital. And would you like to see, being that I don't know your actual position, but the digital prices come down as opposed to physical?
Right. So I will first start off and say I have a gaming PC, so I run a lot of Steam, Epic, GOG, whatever's out there. I've got we are a 3 Oculus Quest 2 house, so those are all digital.
Wow.
We are a 3 Nintendo Switch house because I can't share and my girls can't either.
Right.
Sometimes we like to play together. I do have a Xbox Series S, so that's
Mhm.
all digital. I have a very new, 3-week-old PS5 or 2-week-old.
Congratulations.
Yep, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
New arrival. You
labor.
must be so happy.
7 pounds.
Oh yeah, labor intensive.
I was going to
So
say it's definitely more than £7. Have you
yeah,
seen that thing?
so I would say
Good point.
what we're actively playing, there is a good mix of physical and digital. When it
Right.
comes to the actual library and what
Mhm.
I own, um, I would say 95% of my Switch library is digital. Now, some of that comes because of being able to review games,
Mhm.
and that's the way codes come to
Right.
us, and you guys know that, and
Yeah.
maybe our audience
Yeah.
understands that. Steam, obviously, all digital. I couldn't tell you the last time I used a CD or Blu-ray, whether it was in a computer or a laptop.
Yeah.
Both of or we have a couple laptops in the house, but all of them, except for one, I believe, has a disk drive. Even the desktops don't even have disk drives.
Mhm.
So all that's all digital, and that's not just video games, but that's software as well. Adobe Creative Cloud and
Oh yeah.
some of the video editing and software there, and even my
Wow.
application library. Everything that I own and do is all digital. Um, Oculus Quest, like I said, is all digital. So when it comes to my physical video game library, I would say this generation specifically, and this generation being the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 and I'm going to put the Nintendo Switch in there, even though it's predates those next gen consoles. Um, for the most part, is all digital. Now,
Right.
some of the benefits of having a 3 Switch or a 3 Oculus kind of family is that right now I can run those digital games on 2 devices. So I buy it once and I can
Ooh,
play it
right.
on my Switch, or Morgan. She's my secondary Switch, and so she can play it. So things like Animal Crossing. Uh, I bought it. She has it, and I bought that. Uh, I bought it digitally. Bailey bought it physically. Um, my Monster Hunter. I bought it digitally. Bailey bought hers physically. So there's definitely games that we own multiples of, where one of it's digital, one of it's physical. As a father, having physical anything, cartridges, disc, etc., going digital means cartridges aren't getting lost,
Right.
discs aren't getting scratched or misplaced. I'm not opening up cases searching for where did
Gosh.
that cartridge end up. So that's where I'm like, okay, I'm more digital than physical. Uh,
Sure.
if we're on a trip, we went to Maine, we're not fiddling around looking for cartridges, trying to switch them, put them in our switches. We're not leaving them behind, 9-10 hours away.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe never to see them again. I joked, with you guys in our Discord chat. Um, Bailey managed to lose Minecraft, Ring Fit, and another Switch game.
Unbelievable.
Minecraft I wasn't too big about. She ended up just rebuying physical version too long ago. Ring Fit obviously has not, shown back up, so I'm still not as Ring Fit as I could be. And so losing those games, like losing those physical games, like, and boo on Nintendo for not having a digital version of Ring Fit available if you paid the $80 or whatever it was for the
Oh,
Wii
right. I see what you
and,
mean.
and the
Yeah.
cartridge itself there. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Now, I will say, if there's games that I'm really like adamant about, like a lot of those first party Nintendo games, I've actually been looking at like first party PlayStation games that are either out or coming out soon. I'm thinking, man, it'd be really nice to have those. But I also have a limited amount of space, so having a collection was something I was thinking of. Like, I really don't. I'm not the kind of person that looks and like, oh, I care about the number of cases and stuff that I have. I look at it and I'm like, crap, I don't have a place to put this.
Right.
Not that my house is small, my space is tight, but I just don't have that desire to have an abundance of stuff physically in my space. So as I was thinking about this, the things that really came to my mind, or the 2 words that came to my mind, were, am I a collector or am I a consumer? Because I look at a physical editions, physical, uh, group of games and everything, and I look at that and I say, okay, that's somebody who is a collector. You know, whether you're a retro collector, N64, SNES games, etc., or you're, you know, looking at, you know, building up a collection like Mike has, and I know, you know, Force and Unison in the chat, he's got a PS5 and Switch games and this and that, and Pete's pretty adamant about physical collection. That's honestly something I don't care about. And then, but on the consumer side, like I have services like Game Pass. I have, you know, like it or not, Nintendo Switch Online and some stuff there. So some of those things are essentially digital anyways. Like, you know, we play Animal Crossing, so the Island thing, the DLC with Nintendo Switch Online and Expansion Pass, that's only digital. There's other, I would say, you know, looking at indie developers, and I'm a big fan of indie games. There are probably way more indie games, whether it's on Steam or Switch, or PS5 or Xbox, that are only in a digital version anyways, whether they're brought on by Limited Run or some of these other, you know, physical print, you know, run games. So
super rare games.
Super rare.
I was going to say that the Limited Run are not the only like game in town for physical games.
Right. And so that's
super
where
rare games. Then there is strictly limited, premium edition games, which is a relatively new one. It's been out since this year, I think.
Isn't Press Engine doing some as well?
I think so, yeah. I think they're all kind of figuring out that space. And even when I was at Too Many Games, feel free to read my article on Miketendo64.com. When I was there were other just kind of independent folks that were creating physical editions of some indie games. So I say all that, and again, I go back to, am I a collector or am I a consumer?
Right.
And I think, you know, again, I have a collection of Switch games. It's a very small selection, but it's games like I'm going to buy Breath of the Wild 2, you know, whatever that title ends up being, and when it comes out, I'll buy that physically. I'll have that physically because it'll, you know, go with my other Zelda game. I bought Mario Odyssey physically, Splatoon 2 physically, Pikmin 3 Deluxe. You know, so I have a small selection, and that's the collector in me wanting those games for whatever reason. And sometimes I look at them like, Morgan and Bailey won't play these, so I'll collect them. They'll be my cartridge. But I honestly hate trying to put a cartridge in the freaking Nintendo Switch. Like, it's tiny. They're gonna get lost.
Oh my gosh, they are.
It's a pain.
Really
I mean, I personally would love, like, and I have a giant, like, 1 terabyte or 1 gigabyte, not 1 terabyte. No, actually, I don't even know.
Gig is
I have
a
no, it's
terabyte.
I might have like a terabyte card or whatever, the 600 gig card or something like that in my Switch.
256 possibly.
Something like that, yeah. So I can keep a lot of Switch games on there, and I do every once in a while have to juggle digital games. I have to do that on my PC too, even though I have 3 different hard drives. And I'll probably eventually get to that in the PS5 too. So yeah, I know that's the longest winded answer, whatever, but like that's kind of where I'm at. There's the consumer part of me. I've got some, online services. I'm a dad, and we've got way too many consoles. Let's be real, in this house, but it allows us for some flexibility there, and it's not like, oh, who is it? Where's the game? And then again, I've got indie games coming at me left and right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think since I've been away from Maine, I think I installed like 6 different games on my Switch in the last 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I just want to clarify my stance on this one particularly. Now, I'm mostly physical, to the nth degree. I like to own something in my hand. I like to have it. I like to unwrap it. The feeling of going to, either going to a shop and buying it, or, getting it delivered in the post. The ritual of opening it up and giving it a good sniff. They're all things that you just cannot get with a digital game. And I know. Well, it sounds weird,
what they say, Pete. You know what they say. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it.
I put my money down where it matters. Thank you very much.
Well, the cash register rings up.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. Or my banking app tells me the cry is in pounds lost. So
I wish I could cry in pounds lost, if you know what I mean.
So do I. So do I. I make Great British pounds sterling. Not. But when it comes to things like Steam, obviously, You know, I bought a new PC recently, didn't opt for the disc drive because it was seemed unnecessary at the time. So I will have digital options available to me. Game Pass is one. Whilst I own an Xbox Series X that can play physical games, I won't necessarily buy a physical game for an Xbox because what you're buying is actually not reflective of the product that you get for Xbox. So, especially games that are cross-platform, so Xbox One and Series S, Series X, you're getting the Xbox One version and you're downloading via smart delivery. So you're not actually getting the full physical version of what you want to own. So in that respect, I go digital until obviously there's new developments on that one, which I have found that if it does label it as Series X and S, then it is on the disc as the Series X and S version. But yeah, anything else I'll mostly own physical. So, and Mike, did you see the message in the Discord?
I can't see the Discord at the moment.
Oh, okay, all right. Can you do me a favor?
I'm
And
actually
grab
recording on
Switch?
my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, can you grab Switch Sports for me?
Oh goodness.
I know
Switch
you have a
Sports?
physical version of this game, so.
Oh, I don't actually. I don't.
Oh, wow, okay,
Nintendo
all right.
sent it to me, so I just thought, yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
get that, yeah.
All right.
It's
Okay,
actually
so
one of
this
the few that I don't have physically.
Okay, so this would have been a demonstration. I would have asked Mike to grab his copy.
Oh,
so
look.
okay, I'll do it to Jonathan instead. So grab your.
Jonathan's here to save the day.
So,
Jonathan has
okay,
a copy, a
Jonathan.
physical copy.
So leave it out of shot. Leave it out of shot for a moment.
Oh,
so
fine.
Okay.
so, Jonathan, would you like to borrow Switch Sports? Here you go. Now grab your copy.
Oh my
There you
god.
go.
I have it.
I have lent you my copy of the game, and that's why physical is awesome.
Pete. Oh.
And can I tell you something? Part of why I
Yep.
bought the disc version of PS5, I have a very good
Yep.
friend who was one of the first PS5 owners that I know of.
Nice.
And he has several games physically that
Mhm.
he has already stated. He was like, once you get your PS5, let me know. So I got somehow way back in like PS Plus or whatever it was, they gave away Horizon Forbidden or Zero Dawn.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
so he's got Forbidden West physically, so I'm going to be borrowing that from him, so I won't have to purchase that one. And then there's the Spider-Men's games. I've already played the first one, but he'll be let me play Miles Morales, and then I'll probably, if time allows for it, which it probably won't, but I'll probably play God of War again. He let me borrow his PS4 back in the day, and I like totally binged through that, and like it became a thing in our house where like girls would walk around and be like, "Boy." And so I kind of want to play that again leading up to Ragnarok, but
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
it was
really have a
very
lot
well-
of time.
Yeah,
So-
it was very well known at the time between me and a friend that we never called it God of War. It was just Dad of Boy.
Yeah. So we actually, my friend and I discussed when they released that, release date and everything for November 9th. I texted him. I was like, "We go on halvesies," and that. So
Nice.
there's definitely like some of that has been in my thought. And again, with some of my Switch physical games, I've lent my my sister-in-law just recently got a Switch for their kids, and they borrowed a few of our games. There's other friends of mine that have borrowed. So I would say, yeah, that's a nice thing. I mean, obviously that's consumer friendly, and just like I buy a game sometimes, and I'm like, want to hand it to somebody and say, hey, you gotta play this game. You gotta play this game. But at the same time, again, if I go, we do a video game night at church, for instance, I can set my Switch and Morgan's Switch up on two different TVs with the digital editions and play them both without having to like juggle, a cartridge or something like that.
Of course, yeah, there are obviously flaws to the physical system that digital seem to have posted that makes a lot of sense. I know that obviously game sharing via the Xbox and an account system is a thing that exists, and it works very, very well. And I know a lot of friends who have done that and then gone halves on games like you said, Jonathan. So it can work. It's just, for me personally, it's just the idea of, if I'm going to buy a game or a movie or music, I want to physically be able to hold it. to feel like I actually do own it, whereas a digital version you don't feel like you own it, and permission could feel like could get taken away at any given moment. Like say when servers shut down, and it has happened obviously with the PS3 and the PS Vita and the PSP stores very recently, as well as the Wii store. You lose access to all of that eventually, and you know, if you can't access the store, can you verify your purchases, and therefore can you know. We also had it with the C-bomb issue with the PS4 and PS5. So that's now been resolved, but obviously, you know, eventually you could lose access to those games, and that's a worrying state of affairs for me.
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely renting the game in a lot of sense when you have a digital version, and that's kind of the risk involved. I think again, one of the things that I just look at is like, I got a ton of games in my backlog. I got a ton of games coming out. I'm not necessarily the kind of person that spends time going back to old games, but I know that's probably, you know, maybe a differing factor, a differing, you know, opinion or way of gaming. You know, I have some friends where I see every once in a while they're like playing these old, you know, and even with Nintendo Switch Online, I couldn't tell you the last time I went on to like the N64, the NES, or the SNES games and played any of them because I just don't. I have time to go back to these.
Nice.
But again, that's a difference.
I mean,
Bit of wishful thinking as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I definitely can tell. Yeah, it's the Banjo and Kazooie and Tooie, like ones as Switch, but as Switch physicals. But yeah, I get that. But I can tell you the last time I logged onto that was probably a few months ago for my annual play of Mario World, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that is actually kind of a point that I wanted to make for myself, which is, again, for our watchers more than our listeners. Behind me, I have several retro quote unquote consoles.
Fortunately, the angle is not excellent to be able to see them. You can see minorly, like some on that bookshelf. Yeah,
I can see a PS2.
Yep.
I want to say Xbox or Dreamcast.
I see a PS3. Or no.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them, obviously. Like, you can make them out.
Yeah, there's a NES, there is a Wii in there, back there with Jamie Lannister. And then there's the Xbox Clear, PS, I think that's the PS3, but I have a PS2 even lower.
Okay.
Game Gear, I've got Game Gear.
Yeah, because that does look like a PS3 Slim, actually.
I got an N64 over here. I've got a PS2 Slim down here that you can kind of see. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I see them.
And then obviously PS4 and Xbox X.
If the things didn't take up so much space, I'd definitely own a ZX Spectrum.
Well, yeah. But my point being that I love my retro consoles because that's, you know, the era I grew up in and all that kind of stuff. And then I have the games over here in a box. Well, you can kind of see some of I actually have some of the games down there.
Yeah, I can see some of them there.
Now ask me how many times I've played those.
I don't know if I need to.
I was gonna say my Wii and Wii U are actually on this shelf on my TV right here.
Oh, nice! And yeah, I can see the gamepad.
They're just collecting dust and they're all unplugged.
Yeah, that's basically how I'm at right now. And it's
when you got a modern console that can play some of these games anyway, that you can buy them digitally.
Yeah, that's the thing I obviously don't have on show is I have consoles that are in boxes elsewhere around the house.
Oh yeah,
like,
I've still got
will be
more in the attic.
They will definitely be on show when I have my own area to, you know, my own house. But obviously, you know, at the moment space is limited. So
I dropped my iPad. But that's actually my point, which is what Jonathan said, which is I don't play them. I love them, but I don't play them because I don't need to. A lot of the retro games are either on the Xbox or if I was really, really, really wanted to play some N64 or Super Nintendo stuff, if I didn't already have it as a ROM on my PC, I could just play it on the Switch.
Of course, you legally own all of that games that you have as ROMs, of course.
I do. And I told
64.
I have a Game Boy Advance that has.
I don't know what the one for SNES is.
Z
haven't used
SNES
that
or
one
SNES
before.
9X.
the Z
Right.
SNES. But I also have a Game Boy Advance that has one of those cartridges that has all the ROMs on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I own
Oh,
all
and
those games, so
like
it's not
an
illegal.
EverDrive or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But my point being that, like, if I really was hard pressed to play those, I would just do that. But I'm gonna be honest, even though I'm big on game preservation and stuff like that, and I don't want to lose them, I never play them. I never take them out of any of their storage or anything like that. So for me personally, again, just personally, I'm an all digital. Like, I don't own a DVD. I haven't owned a CD in like years. I can't even imagine. Everything is, I either stream it or, Spotify Premium. That kind. Like, I don't own anything. Now, for me, that's very appealing. But for someone like Pete, it's the exact opposite. I think that's like hell on earth.
Well, to be
I mean, we all
fair,
collect different things, don't we?
yeah, exactly. I was going to say I used to collect CDs, and I dialed that back in a massive way since like Spotify Premium came about. But there is one particular band where I will still collect everything they do.
Is it Dream Theater?
Yes, it is.
I have a Fear Factory CD that's actually signed, so
Very
I have
cool.
kept that. I have kept that.
So it sounds like, as far as just like a summation of all this, like I think we're all kind of in agreement that like either way,
going forward, yeah,
and everything, either way, you need to find whatever works and feels best for you. And I think this is a very
definitely.
personal decision. And I think one of the things that's really difficult for me is when folks make a big deal about one way or the other, feeling very passionate and adamant and saying that the other person, the other side of it is wrong. I think, because the truth of the matter is, and thinking about like retro games, like NES and SNES batteries that are battery backups in those games, and probably even maybe even to an extent, I don't know if
Game Boy games as well.
Game Boy, Game Boy
all of those,
Advance, all of those games will have
they
backup
start to deteriorate.
Yep.
There's an environmental cost, and I don't know
yes.
like what the flip side is of, unfortunately, like, and I know like I've been in the back of a GameStop where they are literally trashing these games, but like there's trash that happens there, and I don't know again if that offsets the cost of like the energy it takes to maintain a server for a digital game and SD cards and all that stuff. But like, so there's one side of that, but like at the end of the day, I think you have to find and figure out what works best for you. And I'm a little bit of both, but I would say more digital. And I think Pete's a little bit of both, but more physical.
I would agree,
And Mike is in there as well with a lot of physical games. And Kiley, you and I are probably more on the digital side because again, clutter, space, etc. And one thing we haven't really talked about, like sales and stuff, like you're probably gonna maybe find, at least I see, like I wish list a ton of crap on all the different platforms. And so when a Steam sales comes up and Nintendo Switch sale comes up, PlayStation sales now when they come up for me, like those are certainly appealing if I can't find the physical version for that low cost. Now with an Ubisoft game, you just wait a month or two after it's released, it'll be on sale. But
that's for sure.
I would say mostly because again, I go back to indie games. Those developers that have a limited budget, unless they're partnered with someone like Limited Run, and again, those games have to have some kind of audience to, again, be a return on investment for the work that it takes to design, develop, produce, etc. to make that. And I don't know where I was going, other than just do you, boo.
I was gonna say it's a personal decision,
and it's a very personal thing. And I think one of the things we can do as fans of video games is make sure that we're not minimizing, chastising, getting angry with, or whatever, online or in person with somebody that buys from the opposite store that we.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like saying like, oh, you shop at this store.
Oh gosh.
Well, you must be a bad person, or you must suck.
Oh
or
gosh.
Whatever. So when we take those, when we try to make those opinions facts, I think we just need to be careful. And again, maybe on the flip side of that, the conversation of the reality of like game preservation. What does that look like when games are all digital, or if they will be all digital in the future. Like, does Nintendo release their next system in a digital only version and a physical version, or all digital?
I think they will.
Do we see PlayStation and Microsoft going only digital? Like, I don't know what the
I see Microsoft
sales numbers
doing it.
look like. Yeah, especially with things like Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Being so prominent. Like, are we in a time where it's like all digital console, or is even a console is streaming? Like, again, that's another thing. Like, do we get into?
It's a hub at
like
that
I've
point.
I've played cloud-based games on Switch, on PlayStation, and on Xbox.
Yeah.
Or maybe not on PlayStation, but like definitely on Xbox and Switch, streaming games, cloud service games. And I personally, like, I love the ability that I can just go downstairs and show the girls a game on Xbox Cloud. Or, I played recently a review, an X-Play review that you can read on Miketendo 64 for the...
you keep plugging us, buddy. You keep plugging us.
Can't think of the name of the game now. It's got a sequel coming out.
Wiley's on
Plague
Rapid
Tale.
Reviews Radio
Plague Tale.
podcast.
Plague Tale, yeah.
Plague Tale.
Oh,
I played
yes,
it
yes.
streaming,
Plague Tale Innocence. There you are.
and it
Yeah.
actually like worked really well. But like, I don't know that I necessarily believe that like worldwide we're ready for digital streaming only services.
Right.
Stadia kind of has its moments and fizzles. I think Amazon Luna or whatever it is. I don't even know if that's even a thing right now. But
It's supposed to be, but I don't know.
It's totally like, I feel like that to me is the all digital versus all streaming is a conversation that also maybe is something to talk about, but maybe not now. But because
give it a couple of years. But
yeah.
Because again, you don't own your Netflix or your Hulu or your Disney Plus or whatever.
No.
Those are all streaming services.
Yep.
Now you can download some of those. I think you can download those to your device. I mean, girls download some Disney Plus stuff to the iPad and stuff. But like, you still don't own that. Those movies could be pulled at any time, and we've seen that where shows and movies are pulled from Netflix or Hulu or whatever, Paramount Plus, whatever.
Yeah, they like rotated, didn't they? So they put them on for a few months, take them away.
And some of that is
Mm-hmm.
and some of that's licensing deals. Again, I know. I feel like there was a thing with Grand Theft Auto licensed music and Tony Hawk and licensed music.
Well, you see it all the time with the Forza games being removed from Xbox because their licensing deals for music and cars are obviously up.
Right, and maybe the alternative is to have licensing deals that are rolling, where again, if they become a games of service where there's a 10-year roadmap, but maybe you have this song for 5 years, and then it kind of drops off the radio station, and then pull in this new song.
I mean, you look at that sort of at the moment, you could sort of see that Fortnite is kind of doing that with recurring licenses for character skins. Because they would obviously have to re-up the licenses in some respect, like Marvel, Disney.
And Fall Guys will probably be the same.
Yeah. Like, that you would have had to have thought that they would have had to re-up the licenses when when Fall Guys went free to play across everything and came out on other consoles. And especially weird seeing obviously an event for like Halo on the Switch and the PlayStation versions, which was quite strange.
Master Chief finally made it to the Switch.
Master Chief confirmed for Smash Bros.
If they were doing more DLC.
But I will say this, because we will have to wind it down here in just a little bit. But to me, it's very reminiscent of when the Xbox One came out and the PlayStation 4, both their E3 things. The Xbone was always on internet.
Yep.
And that never sat right with me, even though I'm a digital adherent. But it never sat right with me because you had people. Well, you had the military forces that do play a lot of, video games on their downtime. You had people like me at the time. I lived in rural Texas, East Texas. I had terrible internet back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have like fiber optics or anything. It was still basically dial-up. But and so if it had to be always on, I was never going to be able to play those games, and it just it felt like a level of unfairness.
Yeah.
Which
Can I interject quickly there for that? Remember, Don Matrick did tell you had an option for that. It was called the Xbox 360.
yeah, I do remember that quite expressly.
Lost him his job.
Yeah. The Xbox really came across as very insensitive at that time, and of course, as we know, PS4 or PlayStation, Sony, whatever, they really stepped up and were like, haha, we don't have to be always on, we're the better guys.
Yeah, which is why I made that thing earlier, which is direct, like the whole ending of the game thing was obviously the shot that that Sony took at Microsoft about that.
Of course, back then they were like, oh, because they had, it was before Twitch was a thing, and they were like, oh, we have the share button, and I was like, ugh, who's gonna want to watch people playing games? Ew. And then that's like all I do now. But I love Let's Players. But anyway, my point being, you know, it kind of is very reminiscent of that, where the more disadvantaged people of the gaming communities are actually being left out and left behind. So as much as I am a digital adherent, and yes, give me less things, more content, less things, physical things. I don't think there's a level playing field for people who, let's say, are in a rural area. You know, they should have access.
Well, saying like, for example, rural areas, or maybe not just rural areas, but maybe outside of regions in general. I mean, obviously, you know, Europe are quite well connected. You know, we can get physical, easy, digital games on the eShop or, you know, on Game Pass, whatnot. But like for other people in other countries, like for example, like Chile or Brazil or whatnot, they don't have so much access to these physical games. Not so much, you know, distribution. Yeah, they can get through distribution, but because of the costs and the tax that hike up the price so much.
Yeah. Yep.
But, I've had that so many times, especially like when doing giveaways and stuff like that. I did a giveaway for Bayonetta 2 for the Switch, and sorry, Jonathan, go.
So I was going to say something with that. So Switch is region free, and I don't know enough about the Xbox and PlayStation stores.
PlayStation is region free now.
So that's one thing that I feel like has changed with this generation, at least that the Switch brought in, was that I think it's Nintendo's first region free console, because I feel like the 3DS. Well, I feel like the 3DS wasn't region free.
Like, no, it wasn't.
I don't think so. Yeah.
The vast majority of Switch games are region free. I think there's just a very select few that aren't.
Okay. Right. So I think that's, you know, to Mike's point, I think is something that's very new. Yeah. Like, you know, it's you know, we're headed to,
I mean, they have the option now, whereas before they couldn't unless they only had a specific console.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, I mean, I have a European eShop account. I've got a US eShop account as well if I need it, and I did have a Japanese one as well, mainly for reviewing games.
Yeah.
Australian, of course, so you can get it out first.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever's the first one to, you know, get the game.
Yeah.
Or also, you know, Australia, for example, they always get it like a bit 8 hours ahead or something like that.
Yep.
I'm sleeping at that time, so it doesn't matter.
No, yeah, same here, mate. But going back to what I was saying about, I did a giveaway for Bayonetta, and it was a physical game. And the winner was from Brazil. Now, the game itself was only around about $49.99.
Right.
But then it got sent to Brazil, and it took its time getting there as well.
Yeah.
And then the taxis were like another $50 on top.
Oh, no. I hate
and
that.
I'm like, I stuck me in this position now, because it's like, well, if I do that, then, you know, I've got to pay another 50 on top.
Right.
But if I pull away, I'm the bad guy now, because I promised them this game, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, because you're in a different region, it's going to come. In the end, I honoured it.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, you won it fair and square. You know, the mistake was mine. Well, not so much mine, you know, it's government's being greedy.
Right.
But, you know, I honoured it, and they were absolutely ecstatic that they got the game, and that, you know, we gave them this opportunity that they could play the game themselves, because it wasn't available in Brazil anyway. This was still at that moment where Nintendo had left and they hadn't come back to Brazil. So even though they could get a Nintendo Switch console, they had to import it from outside as well. It was really bad, messy situation.
So on that too, and I don't really recall, but did Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft pull out of Russia when, and obviously we're still in the midst and thinking about things going on there with Russia and Ukraine? Were they among the companies that pulled out, as well as so again with region free?
There's an article
technically, folks. I mean, obviously, maybe folks in those areas are not worried about playing video games right now, and obviously
Well, apparently there was a statement from Nintendo Europe about that stance, and they said that it didn't affect sales too much pulling out from Russia.
Right, and I only bring that up because of, again,
it's not that big market anyway, perhaps. There are other reasons behind it. I'm thinking it was one of the companies that did, pull away from that, or at least maybe like Nintendo Europe from that stance.
Okay. I'm just mindful of time here, so we probably should start wrapping this up. I was just going to, as a last point from me, is that whilst physical games obviously is my bread and butter, my wheelhouse in that sort of respect, we have to remember that there are caveats now, especially with physical games, that there are still downloads involved. So it is not exactly completely physical anymore.
It's actually a good point.
Which is unfortunate. So,
I mean, you buy a game for Nintendo Switch, it could be like Doom Eternal or something like that. You buy the game, but then you still have to do an update.
Yeah.
To get the rest of the content. Day one patches and everything as such.
But then that's understandable. But then, regardless of whether it's physical or digital, the most important thing is that will you be able to still be playing the same games 5 years on, 10 years on, 20 years on? In this respect, yes. Providing you've downloaded it, the software doesn't get corrupted.
Right.
You take care of your Switch or your Xbox or your PlayStation, your Steam account, they don't get hacked or whatnot, and then you just lose everything. That's the problem with having digital content. When it gets corrupted, you lose that.
That's
so
true.
You don't get that back. But then you can have a physical cartridge or a disc that gets corrupted as well. So, it's still, as we say in the UK, it swings and roundabouts. So, I mean, whether you are solely physical, whether you are solely digital, whether you are half and half or a bit more one way, a bit more the other, at the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying the games that you're playing, it really, really doesn't matter as long as you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a good place to start, don't we?
Well, I would just say, and I put in the chat, we should probably check in with chat, because I think...
that was exactly my next point. Okay. I was going to see if Pete wanted to
we have completely neglected our viewers.
I know.
No, it was done on purpose for the sake of the discussion, which we could obviously come back to at the end. So I was always mindful of that. So don't worry, chat.
So, Pete, would you like to read chat?
Yeah, so we start off with Brent, who said Liberation is kind of a DLC, which it essentially is, but they did remaster it for the consoles. So, Force in Unison put Tyranny of King Washington is good.
Another DLC.
Brent put Unity, which
was
he was correcting. When I said
I know what you meant. Did you know that Unity was used to create the most recent Lion King?
We talked about that before. The Unity
we
engine.
did, and that's why I thought I'd just say it again because Unity came up. So
yes.
My thought, Brent also put my thoughts on this is that these happen all the time. Servers eventually shut down, which is what I alluded to with the whole Forza thing. It is available as part of Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, so it's not completely lost. The point that we did make there is that it's possible that Liberation could come back as part of the live service stuff, so we don't know.
I could see that.
So the last 4 comments are from Force in Unison. Said, so far I've ordered every single physical release from Limited Run Games. That's very expensive. And very... now, is that very normal versions or collector's editions?
Oh my goodness.
He says, what I like from them is that they open orders for about a month or so. So anyone that orders within that time will get the game. He said, I'm fine with physical games costing $70. But what I never understood is why digital games cost the same, which is obviously is part of the point that we were making there. I don't know if this is the case anymore, but I'm sure there was something to do with anti-competition laws.
Yeah, I think it's basically because you would be competing against yourself from the
Yeah.
digital distribution and physical distribution.
Yeah.
Obviously, the physical costs more because they've got to put it in the stores, they've got to put it in retail, they've got to put it on Amazon, they've got to put it in GameStop
Yeah, that's
and
the
other
thing is it would
outlets.
And depending on the digital, like obviously first party Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox games that are selling on their services aren't getting the taxes from them. But like,
yeah.
if I was an independent
Right.
developer putting my stuff on
Yeah.
Nintendo, or a lot of those are taking like a 30% chunk of that. So
Yeah.
to lower
Thank you.
that
Yeah.
even more,
Yeah, I was
that's the cost
actually
of
just.
doing business.
I'm glad you said that, Jonathan, because that was what the point I was going to raise is that clearly the costs that are inhibited from selling on the digital front, they then have to take into account that 30% from listing on that storefront.
Right.
Unless you're Nintendo publishing a first-party game and you alleviate that cost yourself, same with Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah.
So
Well, another thing as well, I mean, you got to think for an indie game, it's a very make or break situation for them. I mean, like I did say in the Discord chat about like Shovel Knight, that came out, that was digital for I can't remember how many years. I don't know whether it was
Many.
2 years or
Yeah.
whatever.
It
Right.
originally
Then it
came out in
eventually
2014, and then it
Yeah.
got the physical releases a couple of years later, I believe.
Yeah, and then it was the same similar sort of thing with like Steam World Dig, and then
Yeah,
Steam
I
World
think,
Heist, and then like Nintendo did that their Indie Selects, and then it had like the two games together. So
Yeah.
there was that point. I mean, but they had to have that audience to start with, and probably many of the people that bought it physically had already had it digitally as well anyway, but they had to grow that audience. I mean, obviously, like you said about Nintendo and the big companies probably taking about a 30% cut to, distribute the games on the eShop, and if it's physical, it could be even more so. And they're only going to get a very, very meager profit from selling the game, but they have
Right.
to sell in bulk as well. It's not like, oh, we'll just print out 4,000 copies and then see where it goes. No, they have to sell, 100,000
Yeah.
to like make any kind of money back on that to make it a worthy success.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's funny actually because obviously in the physical content, this is something I heard a couple of days ago when listening to watching a video on YouTube. Did you know that apparently like Best Buy in America was so confident that the new Guns N' Roses album Chinese
Oh,
Democracy
gosh.
was going to sell, they ordered 1 million copies
That reminds
pre-release.
me. I have the Atari ET cartridge. I actually have it upstairs.
Excellent.
One of the ones from the landfill. I'm very proud of it.
Excellent. And right, so final comment that came in from Forcing Unison that said, but it isn't in the best interest of the companies for people to mostly buy their digital releases since the costs are way lower than physical. I think that's where we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
To be continued, possibly. This discussion.
Definitely to be continued.
Oh,
because
yes.
As the
We've got to talk about cloud gaming now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as the playing field.
I haven't got another 3 hours to do this today.
I mean, for the next episode.
I'm aware.
I mean, it's a changing landscape constantly. So we're gonna have to have this question come up again and again over the next few years. And I may change my stance. I never know. I doubt it. I'm pretty digital, but
who knows? I could have sold my PS5 by then and got a digital version. Who knows?
Yeah.
We might be talking PS6.
Right.
Or
Look,
7.
Or PS5 Pro.
I am looking
Ugh.
forward. I am looking forward to the Neuralink, and I'm happy to be a guinea pig for that. So
I'm just looking forward to the Xbox XXX. That's all.
Oh goodness! Of course you are. Pete.
Nintendo Virtual Boy 2.
Oh my
Oh
gosh!
God, no!
Hey,
It could happen.
I
And a
tell you
virtual
the
girl
next
version as well. Why not?
There you go.
virtual person, yeah. The Nintendo Switch Pro or whatever is probably gonna be.
I mean, let's not go into the Virtual Boy because I think they tried to do that again with Labo, and let's not remember that, shall we?
I thought Labo was
That's
good.
fun.
Yeah, Jonathan and
Needed,
Morgan and Bailey are in their commercials.
that was
Nice.
it. Okay.
Well, that
Yes. That's
I
good.
just meant Labo as a product, not the actual
Oh, goodness.
commercial.
It was a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the VR stuff was, oof, boy, that was not good.
Some of it was fun.
Well, I think...
Yeah, Smash Brothers in VR, not a chance.
Oh, that would be kind of cool, though.
No, they actually had a mode like added in of the Smash Brothers Ultimate for the Labo
really?
VR, and it was horrendous.
Oh my gosh. I would love Smash Brothers in VR.
Hard disagree, but it was fun.
Okay, fine.
There you go.
But that's probably
Agreed to
because I can.
disagree.
That's probably because
That's
I can
another
only
topic.
experience it for like 5 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, there you go. 5 seconds is not satisfying
All I
for
need.
anyone. There you go, Pete.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to shoot off very, very,
I
very
know,
soon.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah,
wrap
I know. Well,
this up.
that's what I said. I was very conscious. Of
Okay,
time, so
yeah,
we
because
better wrap up.
I actually have to go too. But we're going to wrap this up. We thank our audiences, both our visual and our audio listeners, listeners, that probably didn't make sense, our audio and our visual audience, for joining in. We love your presence with us. What?
I've just seen that picture. Good God.
Oh, okay.
That's like my mecca.
Ignore Pete right now. But anyway, I'm going to ask our guests. Jonathan, where can they find you out there in the interwebs?
Mostly active on Twitter, just at Jonathan Ober, O-B-E-R, and it's Jonathan.
There you go.
O-B-E-R. It's probably the most active place you'll find me, and you can also find me a part of Sergio and I and Force in Unison group, forceinunison.com, and then reviewing with Rapid Reviews UK at rapidreviewsuk.com/author/Jonathan, and Miketendo64.com/author/Jonathan Ober.
Which leads us to our next contestant. Miketendo, where can they find you out there?
Well, thank you very much for putting up with me for the last hour or so, a couple of hours. I am
been
Mike
wonderful.
of Miketendo 64. We are a Nintendo media site, so we do news, reviews, personal views, giveaways, interviews, and so much more.
Woo!
You know, we are on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr. We also have a YouTube channel as well, where we post a lot of our gameplays, which are part of our X-Play series, which is a combination of reviews and gameplays, so people can get a general idea of what the game is about and be able to see some gameplay of it as well, and then make up their own decision on whether they want to buy it or not. You can catch up with us on Miketendo64.com, and as Jonathan said, he is one of our talented writers at the site as well. He writes a lot of our X-Plays and reviews and stuff as well.
Excellent. Pete, what about you? Where can they find you?
You can mostly find me on Twitter at PeteBeckett1, spelled B-E-C-K-E-T, and the number 1. You can also see and hear me every week on this here podcast and on Twitch, with the occasional live streams over on twitch.tv/rapidreviews. We're hoping to get a few more out in the recent time, in not too distant future, so keep a lookout for that. You can also follow myself and Kerr on the Never Watchers podcast if you're interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Marvel TV Universe. I know it's part of the Cinematic Universe, I don't care. But you can follow that on most good podcast players, so Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, as such, at the Never Watchers. Kylie,
Perfect.
do you want to close us out?
Yes. So that's going to wrap it up for us. And
then your socials.
Okay, well, if you want to see some ADD brain stuff, because it's about to get cray-cray, because I'm about to start going to the gym 5 days a week, which means those endorphins are going to be crazy.
I'm just going to live vicariously through your gym sessions. Then.
Yes, you're going to have to. Because
I think we all are.
I was going to say, I'm going to be flooding nuts. Oh,
God. That is a lot of flop sweat.
So, you can follow me at Kiley Tegreet, K-L-E-Y-T-E-H-G-R-E-E-T. There's probably just going to be a lot of gym nonsense coming up over the next few weeks. But anyway, thank you so much to both of our audiences. We love you to death, and we cannot wait to see you next week. So, we will see you and talk to you next week. Bye!
Bye.
Now.
Bye there.
We
Hi
are.
there.
Oh gosh. We're still streaming, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream because we have to
5
go.
minutes tops.
Yeah, because I have to be out of here too.
Yeah, I know. Everyone sort of had a 5:30 sort of deadline here, so that's why I
Exactly.
kept going. I'm very conscious
It's
of time.
because I'm about to have a domestic. That's the thing.
Yeah, well,
Oh dear.
yep. That's
Look, I apologise for taking you away for
Um,
many hours. I'm
yes.
pretty sure.
many hours. But I do want to say a special thank you to our chat. You guys have been great today. We always appreciate that. As I always say, you can spend your time with anyone, and the fact that you choose to spend it with us means a whole heck of a lot.
Of course,
Agreed.
yeah. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
the comments that were received. Nana came in at the very last moment and said, "There, this is an interesting topic," and it very
got
much is.
so
we'll,
much
we'll
more.
definitely,
Yeah.
we'll definitely come back to it with some different voices as well. So
I was gonna say, but we need these two voices too.
as well
You needed
as.
me already. What are you like?
Oh, we would never do that to friend of the show, Mike.
Friend of the show,
ever.
Miketendo.
Not even just friend of the show, my convention buddy.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. That's another thing that will be coming up. We're not going to talk about right now because we all got to go. But there is conventions coming up. And I don't know, possibility me and Pete might be doing a little live show together.
We're applying for it. We don't know if we'll get it.
Well, we could still do a live
Crap,
show.
actually, that's closing out today. I better make sure I put it.
Yes, please do, Pete. Oh my gosh. Anyway, thank you guys so much. And we will also talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.